We back, we back, we back, we back, we back. Rams made me anxious, and acid made me crazy. The squares made me looser, and that wax made me lazy. And I still made this song, and I'ma make another. If you ever actually hit me, better watch out for my brother. Better take that deal. Gotta watch out for my mother. Get to watch with all the glitter. We're so close to hitting the month's super chat goal. Okay. Just gotta wait for everybody to show back up. Everybody who was here a couple minutes ago, gotta get them all back into the flow. Gotta let them all know the show's go. When they step into the flow, go and see the show. Hey, wait a minute. Why is the avatars? Why is the thumbnail still the same? I thought I changed the thumbnail. I did change the thumbnail. I wonder why it looked the same on my end. 2 concurrent viewers. Everybody is taking their time, finding their way back to the stream. Unless they all went to bed. Hey everybody, hey everybody, where you at everybody, hey everybody, waiting for everybody to get here, everybody get here, everybody get here, everybody get here. Where's everybody at, where's everybody at, where's everybody at? Everybody get here, everybody get here. Everybody clap your hands, I hear the doorbell. Looks like there's a medical equipment people here. Like they're gonna take me away. They're gonna take me to the padded room. No, they're not. Where's everybody? Where y'all at? ASE Presents just showed up with $5 with prayer hands and a cactus. Thank you so much. Now we're only $8 away from the sub goal, or the. Should I just update the title right away? Just keep fixing the title until we've hit the goal. Let's do that. So now the title should be shifting right under our feet. It now says $8 for the goal. We're so close. Had to restart the stream because of the 12-hour rule, where YouTube will cut off everything past the 12-hour mark. We were about close to 12 and a half. But 15 minutes of that was me sleeping, and the other 15 minutes was me waking up, realizing that I was going to have to end the stream, and then deciding to do that. I was also like taking a dump for the last 10 minutes before I came back and restarted it. So you didn't really miss much. If you came here from the stream where I am full on asleep for the last 2.5 hours, all you missed was me waking up and deciding to restart. But we are incredibly close to the stated goal of $400. The last stream was called, we're gonna make $400 before the month is over. That is the goal, and we are very close, very close. It's true, Mr. Grafixable. It is just you and Riley in the chat right now. I mean, there's 13 concurrent viewers, but nobody's spoken up yet. I don't know who made it. I don't know who made the transfer. I don't know who was in the last stream and has made it back to this stream. Who's brand new? Asa Weeb, welcome back. Sarah, welcome back. Making me another hard beat. Hell yeah. Shade actually sent me a new beat, or at least a new part of a beat, so we could sample that real quick. Let's find out how this new Shade beat sounds together, shall we? Alright, let's see what this Shade beat sounds like. So that's Shade's beat framework of a song he's working on. It seems pretty fucking chill. I definitely dig it. Definitely would rap on. Sick, 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 sick. Shade's like the only producer I was missing, you know? Well, I guess, do I have a Dave beat for this album yet? I don't think so. Dave's got to get me a beat. Who else? There's a couple people, a couple more producers I gotta get onto this album. But I literally told Shade, I was like, Shade, everybody I've worked with practically is gonna be on this album. You gotta be on this album. So, is the We Watch Anime Discord open to anyone? Yes. You just gotta go to the We Watch Anime channel. It's listed on the About page. I don't try to put any direct links to it because I don't want to make it easy for bots to show up. But yeah, it's freely open in perpetuity. Heavily moderated, you know, but I'm sure you will be fine. Person who is asking innocently. I'm all surrounded by empty tea bottles and napkins and such. If you hear any noises, that's just a nurse coming to do physical therapy with my granddad, probably. We doing a By Daybreak extended remix? We definitely can do that. Riley said he wanted to be on the remix, so there's got to be a remix. I'd have to talk to, I guess if we're going to try to extend the beat, I have to talk to Cement City about that. So I hadn't thought about the fact that if you wanted to do like an extended remix, that means the song has to change, right? Or I guess somebody else could remix the beat and make it longer. So we'll have to put out the tendrils out to people to be like, hey, who wants to remix? Who wants to do the By Daybreak remix? You know, probably gonna need that before the album because that would be a great bonus track because it's the first song to release from the album. So it'd be a good bonus track to have like the remix of the first single on there. I feel like that's customary, you know? I love the Daybreak single. Me too. You know, I should have played that this morning when it was daybreak. Now it's already noon, so the song won't have any impact the way it's supposed to right now. Whatever is hot, I'll say some crazy shit on it. Absolutely. It's definitely a spaz fucking song right there. You know what we could listen to, though, is 100K. While we wait for more people to show up, let's go ahead and listen to 100K. I still haven't released this fully yet. I've played it a few times here on stream, but wait, this isn't where it is. Where is it? Yeah, 100K Mix 2, I think, is the one I want. So yeah, let's listen to 100K. 100K.
Here I find myself 100,000 times through realms of wonders parallel, compelled to spell 100,000 rhymes intertwined with entities everywhere and all in kind, weathering snare particulates that splinter off and through the air into the sky. Hi, my name is Beatrice and I am high. They call me Trixie Goldie Witch online and in line for the signing. Rhyming is a thing I do. I'm a YouTube streamer too, redeemer of the stolen youth, leading people like you into the food. No voter, headshot, no joker, dead cops, no broker, dreadlocks, no poker face. I'm another race, an alien displaced from somewhere else, another place so far away, but not Australian or Welsh. My brother Shade, that's his real name, knows how to game and to excel. He produced half of Gay and Dead, Sarah Louise did half as well. Peas and pears get down in Paris to the base swell. It'll be a cold day in hell before I face 1200K, that's a baseline take. Delve into my lore like it's Elden Ring. Pour into my brain with a drill bit ring. If you liked it, then you should have thought about it before he put a ring on it. No fling, thinking of bingy bongy upon the beat, do bongy, wrist body, zip shotty, flesh body, rich, put fuck with it. Grab a partner when the touch is lit. Take a puff, no titty. Ain't a rush, just trippy. No red, no mud, no drizzy. Just missy in a blunt. I speak for a living, stunt for a hobby. Got some awesome memories in some hotel lobbies. Got some awful memories in some hotel parking. Got a lot of memories, yeah, I keep walking. Copped a lot of petty beef, I still steal from Walmart. Dropped a lot of tracks for free, no appeal to Walter.
Oh, it just happened. It just happened. It just happened.
Dropped a lot of racks on weed, really got full restart. Probably never have money, I really went full retard. Had to redo that last bar.
Nathan, try that again. Nathan Stevic with $10. Thank you very much. We just crossed the threshold. We hit the goal of the sub, the supers. Y'all dupers, we hit the supers goal. What's in the hole? Let's change the... Alright, the title is now We Hit the Month Super Chat Goal, because as of this $10 from Nathan Stevic, we just crossed the threshold of making $400 today, folks. $400 by noon 30. I was thinking the stream would take literally all day, all morning and all afternoon, and by the end of morning... Alright, let's actually read this super chat, yeah? Nathan Stevic with $10 says, do a tier list of the Pokemon games or regions. Either is fine. Still remember your Pokemon rating videos fondly, and I'm trying to rate all 1,025 Poke myself. Keep doing you, Golden Witch. Alright, hell yeah. How do you defeat the urge to say the N-word? You'll never defeat the urge. You just have to not do it. Alright, let's see here. Pokemon games tier maker. Okay. Ultimate Nintendo games lore? No thanks, that seems a bit much. How do I just get the Pokemon games rated? Pokemon mainline game tier list. Okay. Okay. Alright. They're separated. Okay, I guess it's just counting Japanese Green version as a different game. So I've never played Japanese Green, but when it's listing blue without red, so that makes me assume that blue counts for red. But then Ruby and Sapphire are listed differently. Where is red? Where's Pokemon Red version? Oh, it's down here. Oh, weird. Okay, I guess they're just mostly in order. Alright, well, Pokemon Red is the one I grew up with. You know, first, the one I played probably the most of. I would say probably A tier. Just really strong design. You know, oh my god, DaBaby has a Not Like Us remix. Alright, we'll definitely check that out. ASE Presents with $10 just said that I should EFAP and analyze the bars in DaBaby's new Not Like Us remix. That sounds like fun. So we will definitely do that after we finish this, after this tier list. Okay, so yeah, Pokemon Red, very, very strong overall game design. Like, this is the first Pokemon game, so everything about it made up right here. So, whatever flaws this game may have, especially in retrospect, looking at the other games, most of that was not really that apparent at the time. Like, we didn't have an expectation of what a Pokemon game should be. So this is all that it was, and it was very good. You know, it was very lovable for me as a kid. I can't give it like the S+ rank because I know it can be better, but it's already very, very good. Pokemon Blue version is pretty much the same thing, but I didn't play it as much, so I'm putting it over here. Gold I never played technically. You know, me and my brother always each had our own version of the game. So now Pokemon Silver. If you had asked me as a kid, was it better than Red, I would have said, of course. Because I perceived it as twice as long. You know, you got 8 gyms, and you got another 8 gyms. But actually, the space in between those gyms is way shorter. The game is overall not as paced well and kind of repetitive. It has advantages. It has more story, it has more Pokemon. You know, it has some certain changes that are cool. But I just think the pacing and the overall structure of the game is not as strong as Red. And that's something I could not understand until I was a little older. I still have never really played Crystal. I had Pokemon Ruby, but I didn't get very far in Pokemon Ruby. My instinct tells me that it's probably even better than Red or Silver, but I remember early on just being disappointed by how much water segments there were early in the game, how much of the Pokemon I was catching were just bird and water Pokemon, and just kind of feeling like, I don't know, this was when I started to feel like maybe I am getting too old for Pokemon, you know, when I was a kid. So this was kind of my, I don't know if I'm still into this moment. So I never played Sapphire, still never played Emerald, which a lot of people consider to be like the outright best of these games. I know there are people who consider that like the best one. I'm still very partial to OG, particularly Fire Red and Leaf Green. I really do think, again, I already really liked Red and Blue, but it's just an improvement, like just a linear improvement in all ways to go to Fire Red. So it's much closer to being just a perfect game, you know. And Leaf Green, I pretty much feel exactly the same way, but I played Fire Red. I still haven't played Diamond and Pearl and Platinum at all. I have never touched these games. This was the generation where Vic and Shade bought the two games instead of me being involved at all. This was Shade's first Pokemon generation, so probably still his favorite. But for me, just still have yet to touch it at all. I never played Heart Gold, but I did play Soul Silver, and this was where I was having a really good time playing Soul Silver, but this is also where it occurred to me that this, like, structurally those games are just not as strong. You know, like, replaying through Silver kind of made me think, well, this is really fun and really nostalgic, and this game's really good, but I can still see all the flaws of Pokemon Silver now even more clearly that I'm an adult, you know. Now, Black and White. I think I played White. So I haven't played Pokemon Black, but Pokemon White version, I have made it near the end of. And when this game came out, it majorly re-sparked my love of Pokemon games. Like, because it was a fresh start where, like, they updated the graphics majorly. They had all new Pokemon, and they didn't use any of the old ones for, like, the whole, you know, first section, like, the whole main part of the game. You're just collecting new Pokemon. That new generation of Pokemon is really good. I like the level design of this game. I do remember it still kind of having pacing issues this one I played through I got almost to the end, and I did it more recently, and I was trying to catch, I think, every Pokemon along the way. So I was taking my time with it, and I just remember it felt kind of dull. Like, when I first played it, it was, like, reinvigorating, because it was like, I'm back into Pokemon again. But coming back to it, now that there's been like, every game from this point on has made, like, substantial progress in changing the nature of the game. Like, up until this point, they were all just kind of top-down 2D run-around RPGs. But with Black and White, it's like it became this 2.5D thing, and they started doing, like, every single generation after this, there's some kind of graphical leap, some kind of major new gameplay tweaks, you know. So this is, to me, where Pokemon starts to really be like each generation truly has its own identity. You know, not just trying to linearly make the games better, so to speak. My brother Victor has always told me Black and White 2 is, like, the best, but I have never gotten to them. X and Y. So I had Pokemon Y, so we're not going to talk about X, but I loved this game. This game is deeply flawed. So I still don't think I could put it at S tier, because there's too much wrong with it. But this is the one I've played probably the most. I was just so excited about Pokemon finally going full 3D. Even though the world design is not very good, it still feels like a 2D game that just happens to have 3D graphics. And the pacing is fucked in this game. But my first girlfriend and I played this together, so it was the first time I was like an adult with a partner who was also like nostalgic for Pokemon. So it was something we could be like nostalgic about together, you know. And both of us caught like every single Pokemon in the game. So this is by far the one I poured the most hours into. I have a video about it, I think, analyzing Pokemon Y by way of Pokemon Red or something like that, where I just basically break down why Y is not as structurally sound as Fire Red, and that's exactly why they're sitting in the positions that they are like this. All right. I have not played Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire more than like a couple hours. Still would like to at some point. These are, again, some that Victor considered the very best. Okay, so I think I had Pokemon Sun, not Moon? I think so. I think I had Sun and not Moon. I really enjoyed Pokemon Sun and Moon. Actually, I would probably put this... Oh, man. It's tempting. It's tempting to put this one on S tier, but again, I have problems with it. They improved the world layout a lot. Like, Alola is a lot better of a region than Kalos in terms of design. But... And the plot is really good. This one has like an actually good story, but it's unskippable. There's way too many cutscenes, way too long of dialogue. The pacing is really kind of shitty, especially in the early part. But the biggest problem I had with this game is how few of the new Pokemon are fucking like catchable. Like, they built this system where Pokemon will summon another one. Like, they'll keep calling in another guy, and there's a bunch of Pokemon that only get summoned if they call like 5 other Pokemon out. Like, you basically have to deliberately farm, knowing what you're doing, and deliberately farm for these Pokemon to catch them, and it was really annoying. You think it was too ambitious with the visuals? I liked the visuals a lot in that game, but texture's really bad on a 3DS. Well, that's fair. They probably were hoping around this time that they were going to be pushing the new 3DS, but that thing really kind of didn't do anything. I have Ultra Sun, I think, and I literally started playing it and realized like it had not been long enough since I'd played Sun and Moon for me to like want to go through all those cutscenes and everything again. Okay, let's go Pikachu and Eevee. I think I had the Eevee one, and this is okay. I don't hate it, but it's basically just like a dumbed down, watered down Fire Red, like for you to play. It's just like, are you nostalgic for Pokemon? Are you and your partner nostalgic for Pokemon, and you want to play Pokemon Red, but without like playing Pokemon Red? Have fun with this. You know, you want to introduce your kid to Pokemon who's too impatient for a RPG from the 90s. Here you go, Pokemon Red, where it's less complicated. Now, Sword and Shield, I never ended up finishing. I only got like 3 gyms in. I think I had Shield, so we're not going to count Sword. And this one, I want to say it's probably really good overall, but this is like so experimental. Like, they really changed up the format. They introduced like the big field area. I think the pacing in this game is, again, kind of fucked. Like, it's just it's so weird and lopsided, but it's very ambitious, full of new ideas. The first Pokemon game to have like a serious open world aspect, which has now become a part of the franchise. So I think it's ambitious, but ultimately a little bit too lopsided, even compared to the other Pokemon games. Then we got Brilliant Diamond and Pearl, or is that what it's called? Brilliant Diamond and something Pearl. I don't know. I haven't played these. Arceus I've heard is really good, but I have not played it. I know Bird was a big fan. We seem to be missing the new games, but I only played like an hour of those. That game looked awesome. I know it's been somewhat debated. Bird really liked the new games, the ones with the motorcycles or whatever. What little I played of that, I was into, but it made me feel like it was going to suck my whole like next 2 weeks away. You know, like if I get into this game for real, this is all I'm going to be doing for a little bit, and I really just didn't. I have yet to feel the urge to spend 2 weeks on the new Pokemon game. Maybe when the next one comes out, we'll see. But and then Yellow version is kind of just a harder more pain in the ass version of Pokemon Red and Blue. I never got very far in it because it was so much more difficult, and I had already, beat Red at this point, so it was kind of like, I don't know, do I really want to do this again? So yeah, I guess I would say I still think Fire Red is like the tightest Pokemon game in terms of like, if you pick up Fire Red and your goal is catch every Pokemon in the game is paced perfectly for that. The game is paced just right for you to progress through catching every Pokemon along the way. It's way too easy if you don't do that, but if you do it, it's paced perfectly for it. Most of the other games, they are trying to do so many different things that it's really up to you to control the pacing of the game. Like, you kind of decide what's going to happen when. And if you're playing like Pokemon X and Y, for instance, where you've got EXP sharing, but there's so many Pokemon that like you're basically just evolving stuff through the EXP share and then kicking it out of the party without ever using it, like on the regular. You have to go to Battle Chateau, which is just the most poorly designed grinding area I've ever fucking heard of. So like, those are the reasons that these games, they come, like Pokemon Black and White comes very close to being like Fire Red and Leaf Green. But there's something, I think the switch to like semi 3D graphics kind of reveals how like small a Pokemon world feels, because like, it's one thing when you're looking at a 2D town with 4 buildings and like it's abstract enough that you're like, okay, whatever, it's an RPG, it's built in abstraction. But like, as soon as you get to Black and White, and it's even worse of a problem in X and Y, it feels really jarring that you're in a 3-dimensional space and you can see like the whole town on one screen, and it feels like, well, this isn't a place. This is like a dream-like approximation of a place. And that's why I think Alola was such a step up in level design, because that was the first one, and everything since then has felt way more coherent. Yeah, I mean, Sword and Shield was very weird, with its world layout, but nonetheless, each one has felt much more like an attempt to realize a 3D place sensibly than, just like drawing maps on graph paper like the old games feel like. Anyway, that was a whole ass rant, and now we're going to rant about Riley's request for EFAPing and analyze the bars in DaBaby's new Not Like Us remix, which it's crazy that that's even a thing that exists. I don't know what the hell DaBaby has to do with any of this, why he would throw himself in with this, but we about to find out.
People wonder why I ain't running from nothing, cause my mama with the shits and my big brothers was thugging, nigga. I used to try to thug it with my big brothers. They used to tell me, goddamn, nigga, nah, hell nah, nigga, take your ass in the house, nigga, fuck you doing, nigga. They let my friend hit the blunt, nigga, he over here with me. People wonder.
So, okay, that sounded like he was comparing himself to Kendrick Lamar, kind of, because, Kendrick, famously, the whole story of Good Kid, Mad City is that he grew up around a bunch of thugs, but himself, never involved. Like he just tried not to partake. He always saw himself as a good kid who was surrounded by bad kids, who had an influence on him that he was trying to resist. And so DaBaby saying that everybody else was always kind of telling him like, no, you can't, you're not a criminal, you should stay out of this, is kind of him being like, yeah, I'm not that different from Kendrick.
Why I ain't running from nothing, cause my mama with the shits and my big brothers was thugging, nigga. Look, sometimes you gotta pop out and punk niggas. Like, even if my mama fuck with you, I wouldn't fuck with you. Go ask her. Nigga, I wouldn't share a motherfucking blunt with you, and I wouldn't walk up on me.
So far the impression I'm getting from this is DaBaby really liked Not Like Us. He really liked Not Like Us, and he went, I want that beat, I want that flow, I gotta do my own take on this. This just strikes me as pure inspiration of like, I had to make my own Not Like Us. I understand. This is how I felt about Pumpkin Seeds by Aesop Rock and Lupe Fiasco when I did The Great Pumpkin, where I just like, I looked at them and I went, oh, each of you did an amazing verse. I'm gonna write a whole 3-minute song in reference to your verse because it's so inspiring.
If you got your motherfucking gun with you, I'm blasting. Niggas go run in their mouth, you see what happened. Nigga, I'm from the South where we get active. Nigga gon' watch his mouth, but we gon' smash him. We'll get on your ass like we some khakis on some West Coast shit. Niggas ain't like me, nigga.
He's from the South, but he's gonna get you on some West Coast shit like Kendrick. Where is DaBaby from? Just occurred to me, I didn't know. Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. Oh, he's from Charlotte. Says he's born in Cleveland and from Charlotte. All right, whatever. That's fine. That makes sense. Just oddly phrased. And I think from, you know, I think that's where you're born, but I get it. People think I'm from Virginia Beach. I was born in Oakland, California. I'm from Virginia Beach. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, niggas is not like us. Niggas is not like us. Niggas ain't like me, dope boy, white tee, fitted hat. I was shooting craps and playing spades when you played pity pat. I was talking.
I'll note as well, this says freestyle, and I do absolutely believe this is completely off the dome. Like, he just stood there listening to the beat, you know, in his headphones and rapping whatever came to mind, probably on loop for hours. Or maybe this all came off the top of his head right away, but I would imagine he was just grooving to fucking that Not Like Us beat and spitting bars for a while.
The nigga put his hands on you, then hit him back, and if he acting like he wanna put his hands on you, then hit him first. I was hopping out with trash bags and bitches full of work. You can ask the last few niggas to play with me, they'll tell you bullets hurt. And I ain't talking about the pews that you sit in, but I got that wood.
What's interesting about this too is when Not Like Us came out, you know, for the first few days that I was listening to it a lot, I didn't know the lyrics yet, and I just kept getting Blueface in my head, because pull up on your block and I bleed it, sliding, like, is very close to the flow Kendrick is doing on this song. And he's deliberately, not off, like, Kendrick is not off time at all in his verse, but it sounds like he would be. Because he's doing the thing where he just says complete sentences. You know, he's saying a whole thing and the whole sentence is coming out. And that's Blueface. Is, you know, how about baby and I can show him what I'm talking about, you know, but Blueface will not be on beat at all. He has his own unique pocket. He finds his own odd places in the beat to drop his bars. A lot of people hate it. I don't always love it, but I do really like the song Bleed It by Blueface. So, you know, when this beat comes out, I just keep hearing bam, 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 pull up on your block and I bleed it, slide it, you know. And that's exactly what DaBaby is somehow taking it in an even more Blueface direction. He's like, oh, you kind of sound like Blueface. I'm literally going to do Blueface flows over this fucking beat right now. But he definitely sounds less on beat than Kendrick does.
With a church, if a church shooter come walk in the sanctuary, I bet I put him down. I'm the one that up the scone, niggas, that's why I'm still in town. I get on your ass all by myself and make you simmer down. Nigga, you the type to meet the fucking plug and try to steal a pound when you could've got 100 on the face, but you a stupid nigga. They ain't gonna play with me when they see me, cause I'ma shoot the nigga.
I also say, like, you know, Not Like Us is a brilliant song that's, like, very easy to re-listen to and replay, but it is incredibly topical. You know, it is about this Drake beef. So I could definitely appreciate how DaBaby just kind of taking the more broad themes of the song, like the stuff it touches on, without being about Drake, like saying the same kinds of stuff but taking out the Drake context, like makes me feel like this song is for, like, hey, do you like Not Like Us, but you just wish he was, like, rapping nonstop instead of, like, doing a whole weird story thing about Drake? And Kendrick also leaves way more space in the beat. DaBaby's kind of just going in this, which I don't think is as good. I don't think it's as memorable. I don't think there's as many bars in here that immediately jump out because, you know, the way Kendrick just takes a second and then goes, beat your ass and hide the Bible if God's watching, you know, like stuff like that is what really draws you into Not Like Us. Or just even the slowness of they not like us, they not like us, they not like us. You know, there's so many hooks in that song. This one so far has not had any hooks. It's been a bunch of decent sounding bars. They don't feel very connected to one another. It's just like, all right, I got a bar, I got a bar, I got a bar, here's another bar, you know. So this is definitely, like, I could see people who just want to rap all the fun bars, you know, on this beat. This is an understandable alternative, but it's not nearly as good.
Since I was 3, they hate on me, I'm kinda used to niggas. They calling, I got them phone all through the night, I'm out in Houston with a vibe. Go against boss man, I boosty niggas.
Also, so far, again, he's nothing he's talked about is something we've never heard DaBaby talk about. Like, yeah, we know you're like a criminal and you don't want to be fucked with. Like, we know you'll murder people, DaBaby. We know that's you. I don't know if we needed him to remind everybody how much he will pop out and show. You know.
That nigga. Point behind the tent, nigga, don't ever pull beside me. All them guns in your picks, niggas, you ever gonna get a body? I grab her by her neck and look in her eyes whenever she ride me. This ain't Karate Kid, I put that eye on Mr. Miyagi. This ain't for college kids, somebody gonna die in here if they try me. I'm one of the coldest rappers out here that's alive, but they tryna hide me. I was getting $400,000 a show and they still couldn't buy me. I leave when these bitch ass niggas right here on the floor, that's on my mama. These niggas.
Yeah, see, that's good flow, good lyrics, just not anything new. It's just DaBaby saying, like, I'm a fucking murderer. You probably should stay away from me. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Cause ain't nothing like her baby. I be popping this shit for my daughter. These niggas ain't nothing like they daddy. I be popping this shit for my niece. These niggas ain't nothing like they uncle. I'ma make the fucking news every time they fuck with me or touch me. Oh, my motherfucking brother, nigga.
I can't help but thinking this must have been a good idea for DaBaby, though. Because, like, as much as I know that basically everybody who has ever listened to a hip-hop song likes the Kendrick Lamar Not Like Us song, I got to imagine that the average DaBaby fan is not, like, spinning that shit all day. You know, they probably heard it a couple times and went, yeah, all right. Like, but DaBaby and Kendrick Lamar are so fundamentally different of rappers and with such different audiences. Like, this is for DaBaby fans. It's like, if you like DaBaby and you wanted to hear that beat without having it to be a Kendrick Lamar versus Drake rap beef, you know, this is a good DaBaby song on a great beat. It's just not really related to Not Like Us, the actual song.
Block a bitch, delete a motherfucking number. I ain't finna talk to you to the end of motherfucking summer. These niggas sports betting, talking about the over and under. I used to score extra, come get four, I throw you another. Nigga, my life GTA, I'm really living the way I wanna. Ready to shoot like SGA, I ride with two, you know it's thunder. Keep it two, but you ain't stepped on shit. I'ma keep on tripping cause I'm slept on. The rawest nigga with a microphone and some headphones. When I catch a nigga, they gon' say that we did them dead wrong. Got a pocket full of big blue hunters, but I'm still fucking with a red bone. And fucking around with me bad for you, baby, better off doing hair wrong. And you know I like to get hair from her, getting hair better when her hair long.
I'd also say, like, I really like the flows he's doing. I don't know if this voice fits, because it sounds like he's using the voice that it's, like, necessary to say things that fast, but it's not smooth on the beat. You know, like, he need to sound a little bit more goofy on the beat. He gotta sound a little more like he's making fun of you, you know, like, it's a little too, like, I'm just cool, I'm DaBaby, I'm cool, you know, but, like, when you're talking really fast over, like, a slap you in the face type beat, you know, and I don't know, there's something just a slight bit off about, like, the performance where it's really good. Like, he's really doing a good job of rapping what he's saying and having cool flows and cool inflections. I just don't know if it fits the beat just right.
I'm paranoid. I pull a pistol out and point at that shit still long. A bitch got about 2 weeks for me to care cause I don't really care long. I would tell you that's the last niggas to play with me, but they're gone. Them niggas done called a flat and they can't come back. I guess they spare gone. I'm finna fly out to LAX and go have me some Grammy sex and smoke.
He is definitely playing around with a lot of flows on this song. I definitely appreciate that. Somebody who's a big time flow switcher myself, I appreciate the constant, subtle shifting flow.
On me some Cali weed with a pistol in my gallery. I'm trying to see about a friend who wanna fuck, so now she mad at me. Play with me is another casualty. DOA, I don't do no cash apps. Send that to my BOA. Once a fucking month, I send a Zell to get my BM straight. Nigga play with me, gon' play in hell, bitch. I don't even play with kids, it ain't my family. Niggas see me and they ask me, nigga. Niggas wonder why I ain't running from nothing, cause my last name Kirk and my big brothers was thugging, nigga. Yeah. Another demonstration.
Yeah, I would just say that was, I mean, he said another demonstration. That's a good way of describing what that felt like. Like, literally just, hey everybody, it's me, DaBaby, and this is how I rap, you know? Yeah, it is wild. He doesn't directly reference the beef. He just says violent things that I believe when he says it, and I love it. Couldn't find enough meaning in it, so needed you to overthink it for me. Yeah, I really just don't think he was... I don't think he was trying to say anything deep. I think he just wanted to rap on that beat really badly, you know? Is just using the beat enough to consider it shade on Driz? I mean, probably. I would say DaBaby can't possibly like Drake or want him to be at the top. Like, DaBaby seems like one of the guys who's like, no, I belong. I should be considered number one. And consider, he hasn't been around that long, but he's had a fuckload of hit songs. You know, he was... maybe this is contributed somewhat to the fact that, like, the period when I was really listening to the radio, like 4 or 5 years ago, DaBaby was blowing up, but he was fucking everywhere. So I could easily see him just being like, hey, I need to be in this conversation, I need to get myself in here. It didn't seem like he particularly cares about dunking on Drake or Kendrick. He just wants to prove that he's a great rapper and likes that beat a whole lot. I really do think it was mostly just, I want to be on that beat. I get that more than anything else, like I hear certain beats, like Billy the Fridge, the second track on his new album, Time Bomb, like every time I listen to it, I'm like, I want to be on this beat. Like I can't shake the feeling of like, I just want to be on this beat, So I would say that's probably a big part of it. Wanting to be on the beat, wanting to be in the conversation, wanting to prove that he can really rap. Because DaBaby's not really known for being like an incredibly... He's not known for showing off his rap skill. So this as a freestyle, like, if all of that was off the dome and he's doing that ridiculously fast talking flow like that, when he just makes shit up, like, that's kind of hard to do and do it well the way he did. So, I do think it's a decent flex. But on the other hand, it invites the unfortunate comparison to the actual song Not Like Us, which is like one of the greatest songs ever made. I wouldn't personally want to invite comparison between my own song and one of the greatest songs ever made, but and in such short notice, merely a month later, but I thought it was good. I wasn't offended by it. I wasn't like mad that DaBaby did this. I just don't think he said much that he doesn't normally say, which is mostly, I'm a murderer. I'm still a murderer. I will kill you. Don't fuck with me. I will murder you. And you go, yeah, you will. I know that. I know you are not lying to me. Okay. We've now got a super chat from Cheese2000 for Australian $2. Who said, rant about who you often play as in Mario Kart, please. Pretty much always I will pick Princess Peach. Like... any of those games where, yeah, if you're just picking like from just the Mario roster, I usually pick Peach. Although in Mario Tennis, I've always played Boo, because Boo is just like the fastest and has like trick shots and stuff, and just generally fits my playstyle of competitive games really well. But yeah, in Mario Kart, I generally choose Peach, especially if we're talking Mario Kart 8. Where she's got the like pilot outfit, like the one piece suit type thing. I like playing Princess Peach in that suit. I used to be more of a Daisy player. There was a long time where I was like Daisy was my go-to, and I think it was just that I didn't like respect Peach because I saw her as like, I don't know, she's just like the generic blonde chick. Daisy is like deliberately the alternative, the alt Peach. But somewhere along the line, I became a Peach fan. It might have been watching Armada, I think is who it is, who played Peach in Smash Melee Professional. Like, just knowing that Peach was, like, top tier in Smash did a lot. And maybe just playing her in Mario Kart and shit. Like, I definitely ended up developing an appreciation for Peach, and now I'm more likely to play her than Daisy. Also, why did you just ask One Piece with 3 question marks at the end? What does that have to do with anything happening right now? Oh, One Piece suit. I see. I get it. I said that she was in a One Piece suit. Sorry, that was my bad. I'm the fool. All right, y'all. Well, so far on this stream, we're at $26.33, which put us $13 above the 400 I was trying to make today. But we still have to finish this Madoka Magica video. And if you missed the first 45 minutes of this, they were in the previous stream. Leaf Blady's heading to his second job in an hour. So, Leaf Blady, this is the time. We got to do this while Leaf's around.
Avail the day, or have been able to do otherwise. Then is not this Junko's transformation? I think I like to see it as an evolution, something that's played with very well in Princess Tutu, I think. If the external nonsense of transforming and fighting the bad guys is what the magical girl does, and if that external glamour doesn't really avail the day or doesn't necessarily give them the power to win over the evil, because all of that comes from the girl side of the magical girl and the grace that they've learned and assumed in their values, then isn't the transformation sequence mostly superfluous, or mostly just for the edification of the magical girl themselves? Junko is a complete character, much like the older female characters that I mentioned earlier on. She doesn't transform into a magical girl because she doesn't need to transform into a magical girl. It reminds me of the Grateful Dead song Box of Rain. Believe it if you need it, or leave it if you dare. And heck, it's just a ribbon for your hair, huh? But I'm off on a tangent. I don't particularly read too much into Junko as the breadwinner in the family. Urabuchi has said that he did it just because he wanted a strong female character. But even outside of the Word of God, it feels like something that fits better with Junko's personality, and then with a more modern take on magical girls. Then of course,
Yeah, I definitely think that was a strong power move on Gen Urobuchi's part. Because it's actually kind of surprising, I feel like, how long it took. Like, there's not a ton of great magical girl moms I can think of. Like, Cardcaptor Sakura, you've got the amazing dad. No mom in the picture at all. I can think of several just generic housewife moms. I don't know of another magical girl show where the mom is, like, already a badass, like somebody clearly worth looking up to and being like, and it was like kind of shocking to realize that watching this. I mean, there's some, like, say Heartcatch Precure, right? Like, the mom, Erica's mom, is like a cool fashion designer and stuff, or no, Tsubomi's mom's a fashion designer. Erica's does. Both of them have cool parents. Like, usually in Precure, the parents are cool, but this was at, like, another level of, like, obviously doing something, it's like, yeah, in this household, the woman is like a workaholic and the man is the stay-at-home homemaker. And, like, I do think it matters. I think it matters to what this show is, regardless of the reason, the inspiration for why it's being done, even if it's just, like, to mix it up or just to show a strong female character. I think it's the fact that it's not something that happens often made it incredibly meaningful, in the case of this show.
of course, Madoka, who's been up for quite a while already and sat there and ate an entire breakfast, runs out of the house with toast in her mouth. This is such a dead horse trope that I shouldn't need to explain it to you. I mean, Oh My Goddess was
Pastel
even
Yumi and
lampshading
Wedding
this in
Peach, says Landon.
2005.
I haven't seen Pastel Yumi or Wedding Peach, but good to know.
Before K-On! Played it straight. The way it's kind of awkwardly forced into this scene in 2011, that's almost blindingly obvious that it's trying to get you to think of Usagi or Sakura in the same situation. And it's so very unsubtle about it that it's almost daring you not to make this connection. Again, it's really on that second diegetic level. It's an art, it's a performance, it's a metaphor. Nothing's really real about this story. 7 minutes into the episode, and we have this gorgeous pan up over this background art. Up until this point, I've actually failed to mention the soundtrack by Yuki Kajiura, and that's a bit of a disservice when that first prologue scene has Magia over top of it. But I think just as prominent as the flutes on the track Post Day, which plays out as we get the first introductory shots of Sayaka and Hitomi turning back towards Madoka. It's pretty important that we don't even get any shot of Madoka being alone, other than the joke of her eating the toast. She jumps squarely from one stable family relationship dynamic to two very close friends that love and support her. And before we move on, the architecture of Mitakihara's city is just absolutely pristine, right? The color palette of the greens contrasted against the blues and the whites.
Looking at it like this really makes me think that it's like Academy City from a certain magical index is what it reminds me of. $2 from Koof, who says, hit the goal like steel toe. Thank you for not killing yourself. Absolutely. Love you, Koof. Do God's work out there. Standing for Yui Hirasawa every single day. And Steel Toe can go fuck himself.
entire city made out of blues and white architecture. Having the city background be so simple and kind of monochromatic lets the lighting of the show dictate the mood. When the sun's setting later in the episodes, you get a completely different color palette of all these white buildings because of the reflections of the sun. But here now in the bright morning light, when things are happy, we couldn't imagine a more pristine town to live in. Something to quickly note here is that the character animation on some of these shots is not great. In fact, while the show was airing, there was even animation memes being called out. I'm sure you've heard of the Madoka Maguka. Let's call it alternate story, maybe interpretive retelling. Those are all really born from
This got me thinking about like how with different stories, the way they portray a hero as like the nature versus nurture aspect, where and the wise answer is, by the way, both. You know, obviously everybody is born with a nature, and then that nature is nurtured. I would say Madoka does a good job of kind of suggesting that, like, yeah, Madoka was born great. Like, she was born pure. She is pure of heart. But what has preserved that purity is how good her life is around that. You know, having strong role models, having a great living environment, having good friends. Like, all of this reinforces that, like, Madoka is great not just because she happens to be great, but because everyone around her is making her great. You know, everything around her makes her great. And I think that's an important trait for, like, a classical hero to have. Like, if you're talking about somebody who's supposed to be, like, a Christ figure or somebody who's, like, literally saving the world, if you imply that it wasn't a village, I mean, to be literally Jesus, right? He was just born immaculate. There was no... It wasn't that he was raised in such an incredible environment. He was raised in a fucking manger by a single mom, you know? Like, he was just born holy. Madoka's not like that. She's a better answer to the question of, like, what really makes a hero. It's not that you're just born holy. It's that you are born good and raised good. It takes both. You know, it takes all the elements. So I think that makes this a better story than the Bible, is all I'm saying.
How low detail a lot of the animation in Madoka Magica can be at times. I don't think this is really here nor there, and pretty obviously just a result of this not being an important thing for the show, or the production of Shaft not being up to the standards of quality that it would later be in Monogatari, and, you know, even in the new Madoka Magica series that's airing right now. And I'll stop short of giving it any more attention here, but I do think there is some type of argument or comparison to be made between the production faux pas in Madoka Magica and those of Sailor Moon Crystal, which, while it was airing, were a very big deal for that show, whereas they didn't really harm Madoka Magica. Something to think about. There's a childlike play.
I think part of that is also that Madoka's designs are so fucking strange. Like, when they're off model, it's not like as jarring because the models were already hard to get used to. Like, I've always thought the character designs of the show looked so bizarre, like, in context. But, you know, I think that adds to it. And there's no expectation beforehand. Like, Sailor Moon was already a franchise. There was already a good-looking old show. So when Crystal came out and it was like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be a cash-in on one of the most successful shows of all time. How can you not afford to unfuck the animation? You know, how can it look worse than the 30-year-old show that it's rebooting, you know? 20-year-old at the time, I guess. So, yeah, I think that's a big part of, like, Madoka only had up to go. Like, whatever looked like shit in the first place was fixed. So it couldn't get... It had no baseline to fall from, basically.
A oneness with nature in this scene. There's screen time given to these simple concerns of how nice it would be for someone to care about me. We have time for simple concerns when the world's not at stake, but also it's kind of ironic that that's what Madoka wants to have happen when the entire rest of the show is going to be about Homura's single-minded dedication to Madoka. Just on a pure shot composition
Ellen,
here,
welcome back.
Madoka
nice hot dogs.
Supported on both sides by Hitomi and Sayaka. Also, a great bit of character development for Sayaka. She calls out the fact that she's wearing the ribbons because she wants to be seen as pretty and popular like Hitomi. It really shows us that Sayaka is fairly perceptive. That's exactly what Junko told her to wear the ribbons to do. It also shows us Sayaka's insecurities. She's clearly thought about how to be pretty and popular and get people to like her. Further character development for Sayaka. She's not above teasing her
point.
friends, but also she's a very physical person. While Hitomi is clearly uncomfortable with this display of physicality, Sayaka is how she expresses her love of Madoka. Furthermore, Sayaka's dialogue about Madoka being hers shows us the possession issues that she has or that she's thinking about.
That's
it's
a really
clearly
good point.
a joke. Well, here instead of the final scene in Rebellion, which happens in the same...
God, yeah, actually, that's a great fucking point. That, like, that just feels like a very normal character establishing scene, and it would be, like, the personality she displays in that scene does not seem especially toxic until you understand that those are the same traits, like, those are the toxic traits that are going to, like, really make her kind of a shitty person to deal with later on. But like in the beginning she just seems like a cute friend, you know, just seems like cute friend shit, like no real reason to think that this behavior is indicative of a bigger problem, you know,
place, but is actually not a joke and is Homer possessing Madoka and then Sayaka being upset about it. This is clearly the path by the stream where you try to possess Madoka Kaname. Everybody knows this. But that's kind of a tangent. The idea is that Sayaka thinks about somebody as being hers, which is going to, you know, be a large part of her mindset when she makes her wish and goes through her fall. So in Sayaka...
I feel this video has already kind of made me appreciate this show more deeply just because of how much it's already doing the angle of like Madoka's trapped and everyone around her is trapping her, you know, like they're all doing it for the right reasons, it's all love, but everyone around her is trying to keep her, except for her mom who is trying to help her break through her shell and advance and become the full-bodied person she's trying to be, and her dad, you know, but everyone else around her is trying to keep her in this little bubble of being the Madoka they want her to be, you know. They're trying to protect her, but they're trying to protect her in a way that keeps her from, and like it's amazing how much of that is just in this first episode at a time when there's no way to really perceive that that's what the theme is. But at the, you know, when you start with the labyrinth, which is her being trapped in Homura's world in a way, you've got this where it's Sayaka. Yeah, there's this heavy theme of possessiveness over Madoka going on. And it's really interesting because it does it in a totally non-sexual, almost non-romantic way. You know, where like...
Because first scene, by the end of it, we already know everything about her character, everything about why she's going to make the decisions that she's going to make. When they say Urabuchi is a great writer, it's not because he can create these crazy twists. It's because he can write something like that. And then in the next moment, you can see this great example of why they call Shinbo one of the best directors around. And yes, I'm very much aware that other people did the episodic direction.
Real quick, Halo Head with Australian $2 says, a pinch on Hiroya Oku's work after Gantz. I didn't know he had done anything after Gantz. So, let's see what that is. Did he do that? Okay, yeah, Inuyashiki, right? Okay, I haven't seen or read Inuyashiki. I've heard it's really good. That's the one with the One Piece scene, right? Where the psycho guy, like, murders the girl's whole family and then starts asking her about One Piece. That scene is great. I've seen just that. Yeah, I have not read any of his stuff. So, Inuyashiki and then Gantz G Gigant. I've never even heard of this, but damn, look at them titties. Yeah, I didn't know about this at all. I mean, do you recommend it? Is this stuff good? Oh, what's the name of the Maguka video? It is Madoka Magica Analysis Video Storytelling. This video in particular is... Ooh, fuck, I just clicked on another one. Hold on.
Going to make the decisions that she's going to make?
Visual Storytelling, Breaking Down PMMM. This is Dialogue 1. Out of, I'm guessing there's one for each episode. Yeah. So there's like a up to 2 hour analysis of the visuals of each episode of Madoka. So far it's been really good. Like I could definitely see listening to all of this at some point. I mean, especially if Leaf Blade kept paying me to do it. But I could see listening to this just because it's good. So yeah, would recommend.
When they say Urabuchi is a great writer, it's not because he can create these crazy twists. It's because he can write so one of the best directors around. And yes, I'm very much aware that other people did the episodic direction and storyboards for these episodes. However, the research that I've seen has shown Shinbo to be very much in the weeds or hands-on series director, so I'm rightly or wrongly attributing things like this to him. The perspective up till now has put...
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen my Akiyuki Shinbo videos, you know that the main theme of them is about how difficult it is to attribute anything to Shinbo. How, like, if it's not one of the stylistic trappings that he obviously had before Shaft, everything post-Shaft is developed in such a village type of a way where everybody just kind of throws in all the suggestions they have and they just kind of pass-fail. You know, like, Shinbo's basically the guy who sits back and goes, that does sound like a good idea, or just do not do that, you know? But it's definitely not all him coming up with the crazy shit. It's him encouraging other people's ideas. And he's said this. This is just his words.
Them on this path with the river going by, alone, together, but to break them out of their childish reverie, Hitomi gives a sharp little cough, and then these quick shots suddenly play.
Like, even the head tilt. The head tilt was not a thing in Shinbo's shows. That started in Shaft. Mostly, Monogatari is really what pushed it over the edge, but there wasn't, like, a ton of that head tilt pre-Shaft, so I don't think that was Shinbo's idea. I think somebody else came up with that, and they all ran with it.
Place them surrounded by different people.
Now, that's another thing. I just think whenever Shaft does anything that works, like anything that people like or that they themselves like, they will do it again just because they're trying to establish an identity as a brand. They want you to think, oh, this is what Shaft shows are. You know, so anything they can do that's distinct, they're going to keep doing that to keep people watching Shaft shows, you know?
All right in front of the school. They're teleported. They weren't in this place before, or it didn't seem like they were in that place before, but...
Oh, and Leaf Lady, I was kind of kidding. You shouldn't pay me to do that. I might end up... I'll let you know if this ever happens, but... When I'm not streaming, I do often just listen to hours-long analysis videos in the background. So, like, I could see listening to this while I was doing something, you know, like, periodically over the course of months, probably, because it's so long. But it is good.
Hitomi's simple act has brought them...
Landon, Denpa Onna and Zaregoto are both, like, I'm telling you, literally anything after Tsukuyomi Moon Phase, you can no longer tell what Shinbo did. Like... Moon Phase is the very last anime that feels significantly like the stuff that Shinbo did before, and even then there's lots of new stuff, where like the whole wash basins falling on people's heads was like someone else's idea that just came up, and like it's the first Shaft show that did it, but it's in every Shaft show afterwards practically. So like, and Shinbo literally said he said, I don't even remember who said it, it just came up in a meeting and we threw it in, you know. So, like, as soon as he was at part of Shaft, it immediately became that he's incorporating other people's ideas to an extent that you can no longer just say, like, oh, this is how Shinbo's directing style works. It's like, well, this is just Shaft. It's just a collective, you know?
Them shifted the camera, shifted the perspective. Now they're back in school mode, right in front of the school, with other people to answer to, in one simple shot. And the pacing makes it a great joke, too. Future school here is, a prison, by all accounts. The classrooms look like cages. Up on the roof, we see more cage symbology. The teacher has a baton, and she does a Satsuki-esque heel click 2 years before Kill la Kill. I don't know that I love the old maid teacher and her unimportant...
God, I can't believe... It hits me so much harder to regard the world of Madoka as, like, this beautiful trap now. Like, at the time, I never thought about how much it all looks like a cage, but it really is the epitome of the idea of the gilded cage. This is the most, like, going in on, like, the most ostentatious you could be while still being subtle, like, without literally beating you over the head. But, like, the classrooms are gold. They have gold bars. Like, they are gilded cages. It's wild that I hadn't thought about this.
Bullshit. I think definitely a callback to Miss Haruna from the first season of Sailor Moon. And good for a joke that she would put that before the introduction of Homura. And again, one of those small moments that she shares with Sayaka and they can laugh about, but really in the grand scheme of things, not that important. I love love the introduction shot for Homura, that she just walks onto the screen. Shot in a low angle, making her huge. I love her body language, too, that she moves with such purpose. Of course, we know why she is the way she is in this episode, but it's cool to see it. Also, the background music for the Magical Girl theme coming in, but just the bells, just the tinkling, really gives it...
I want to know how good of a shot that is with the legs coming in from the foreground. Really made me think about K-On! And Naoko Yamada, who as a director has said that you can tell a lot about a character's personality from their legs, the way that they move their legs. And Homura, like, that shot of the legs coming in, the sense of, like, self-importance and regal nature, like, it literally is like the queen has arrived, you know? It's that, like, overbearing, overwhelming feeling. Like, her legs literally are taking up the whole screen before they go into the background, you know? And then right before there's time for her to, like, be small in the frame, we cut to her face just looking totally steadfast, looking straight forward, no glancing around, not paying attention to anything going on around her, because she already knows. She does not need to check out the surroundings. She knows what's happening. So this initially comes off as just, like, sheer princess-level arrogance, but it's actually over it. She's actually just way over it. We can only really know that having seen the whole show.
Just the vibe of I met her in a dream that Madoka is experiencing. There might be some kind of joke on Homer writing her name out in hiragana, but I don't know enough Japanese to figure it out. A very cool part is that the teacher asks her to give an introduction, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I would assume it's not a joke so much as that probably the kanji of the name Homura can be read more than one way. So, like, a lot of the I've seen this in other anime where a character's introducing themselves and they write out how it is, or sometimes they'll even write the kanji and then in parentheses, like, how to say it, because so many kanji can be read multiple ways. I have to piss really bad. This won't take long. I'm not going to play anything. Okay.
Herself, and then Homer just fucking doesn't. So it's a really subtle introduction how the teacher and the class are off-put by that. This next little bit I think fairly straightforward, but I'd like to point out the performances. I think there's a number of great voice acting performances all throughout Madoka Magica, and I want to point them out as we get really good line reads from them. But here both Chiwa Saito and Christina V give a perfect monotone of completely disinterested with your bullshit, but also, you know, respectful enough. A lot of the effect of the next moment relies on...
Deserves mention that Chiwa Saito has been in, I think, like, every Shaft anime. She was Hozuki in Tsukuyomi Moon Phase, and her range is pretty much... She's either, like, the most deadpan, soft-spoken character possible or the most, like, shrill lolly possible. She's also the voice of Senjo Kahara. So, yeah, big time regular.
On the first time going through, knowing that Homura has an agenda and that she's not interested in anything aside from that. Her response is here, sell it. And then we've kind of got this money shot here. In this hyper-saturated school with the light flooding in everywhere, half of Homura is still clouded in shadows, over half. She's placed high. This is beneath her.
Hola, Hermes.
And apparently she's someone who looks down on others. Right now, of course,
Hola,
the viewer
Hermes.
is supposed to be unsettled by Homura in much the same way that Madoka Madoka is. If you're paying attention, you likely thought, how does she know Madoka is the nurse's aide? And to her credit, Madoka brings that up in the next scene. I love that there's a pause before Homura answers, like she has to think up some contrivance. It's very clear that Homura is lying, and it's just that Madoka is too kind a person to call her on it. We're gonna quickly glance over the fact that this is obviously all an inversion on Homura's timelines and everything that we find out in episode 10, because we already know that, right? It's very clear that when Madoka led Homura, then Homura leads Madoka. It's a very clear contrast there, right? And in 9 episodes, we'll see that payoff. Instead, let's talk then about one of my favorite things, directionality and movement of a character across a screen. In Madoka Magica, I don't think it's as big a theme or a thing in general as it is in the previous 2 works that I've analyzed, the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya and the adolescence of Utena. However, it does come up a number of times related to Homura in this show. The basic concept that is, in Japanese, you start writing or reading in the top right and then finish in the bottom left. So anytime you're making progress while you're reading, you're going from top right to bottom left. We've already seen Homura in this episode fight to go towards the bottom left. We see her in this scene framed as forcefully moving towards the bottom left. And then in the final shot of this entire show, we'll see her do the same thing. And movement in general goes along with this. We've already talked about how Madoka has some production issues related to the animation, so character movement in general is going to be a little more resource intensive and usually saved for the witch fight scenes. To that end, much of Madoka in the non-witch fight scenes is going to be directed with the characters kind of in the front and center. It's not necessarily something that's known for insane shot compositions outside of when it really wants to. And a lot of the show is characters moving within the set boundaries of the screen. There's also a lot of coming up towards the center of the screen or leaving to the top of the screen, which we've already seen a lot of. All of this is to say that I think the directionality left and right isn't so much a factor in this show aside from Homura's eternal progress to the left. So we're back in the scene, and we already know that Homura...
Leaf Blady said 2 years before Snow Praiser was getting praised for this. True. And Mother's Basement, I think, had a video once talking about how, like, heroes in anime openings, like, almost always move, I think it is right to left. But, like, he demonstrated with, like, a whole bunch of clips of openings where, like, the hero is moving in that same direction because of the same reasoning here. So it's definitely, like, a known part of Japanese cinematography. To use this specific directional symbology of movement.
Is forcing things. We already know that something's wrong with her. And then you have these lovely shots. Talk about doing a lot for a little. Zooming in on Homura's frown and how much pain she's in to be experiencing this. First time through, you obviously don't have any context for the exact reasons why, just what you saw in the prologue.
Just real quick, to Shaq in the chat says, I've been good to you, let me do it for the people. I know you're mostly joking and memeing, but I'll just tell you, I got deep trust issues. I really doubt almost anybody will ever be modded other than Bird Stork and Ellen Horai. Maybe one day, but I don't know. Not likely.
And I think those directing shots feeding directly into her turning around her foot are a clear cause and effect, right? So much of Madoka and what we're going to talk about is this kind of causality chain. One thing happens, and then obviously that means the next thing would happen in a logical fashion. Well, the start of the entire chain of the events that happen in Madoka Magica is a great person to Homura. And even if this is the 10,000th time Homura has experienced her kindness...
Who hurt you, Trix? You know.
It still affects her, right? That
Many
is
people.
intradiegetically on that first diegetic level. None of the events of this series would have happened if Madoka Kaname wasn't so pure and good. All right, let's not victim blame Madoka any further. Let's say, though, that Homura's turnaround feet reference is in reference to something we saw earlier in the episode when Hitomi...
Goof at $2 says, it's not like I wanted to mod for you, but Baka. Goof, I've never seen you as a mod, or else I'm... Part of the reason Ellen is a mod is Ellen has already been, like, an admin and moderator of other communities. She's a longtime member of my community. She's a trans woman, which is very important. And also just really nice. So, and usually around.
He does it. It being zoomed in on shows
Ellen
us
says
that
anyone who
it's
wants to mod
important
needs
both
to
times.
defeat me
Where
in
that
physical combat. You're gonna have to fly to Brazil and fight Ellen.
we should remember it. Well, what are the circumstances by which the characters turn around? Well, both times they're reacting to the innocence and purity of Madoka Kaname. Hitomi's line after turning around is that, if only I could make up my mind as easy as that. Homura, of course, drops the massive bomb about your family and friends and your life and finding it precious. So in putting these two things together, I think both Hitomi and Homura's concerns appear to be more adult or more complicated, and they're turning around to Madoka and kind of envying that simple innocence that she has. I think there's both these situations an element of, hey, I've already decided something, like Hitomi's clearly already decided that she wants to go after, what's his face? And that's a complicated decision that she knows is going to present problems. And Homura's on whatever time loop she's on, where she's done this a million times, and she doesn't know whether she can continue to do this, but she knows she has to fight the whole struggle thing that you see in episode 10. Both of them are not sure if they're even doing the right thing. Now, in Homura's case in particular, she calls out what...
I've always hated that stomp. Like, when she turns around and puts her foot down and then kind of regresses back, like... On a cinematic level, I really appreciate what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep up the leg language thing they started. But it's just so, like, awkward feeling in the animation. It's always really distracted me. And I feel that way about a lot of stuff, especially in this first episode, where, like, just Ume Aoki's designs feel weird, like, being animated. And Hidamari's sketch rarely ever, like, did it. And it would usually have kind of a style break to do it. With Madoka, you just have a lot of these shots where it's like, it feels almost like a rotoscope effect but they're not rotoscoping a human. It's like whatever the fuck kind of alien creature these character designs are.
What we would quantify as the grace of Madoka Kaname, that is, everything that adds up to the girl part of the magical girl. The times and
Hidamari sketch is so low res for some reason because it was a very low budget show made in 2007. I think that's why. But there are Blu-ray versions of it, I think. So there's got to be like a decent quality version. But yeah, it always looked fuzzy as fuck when in my memory, having watched it in 320p on Crunchyroll or 240p on Crunchyroll. Yeah, it definitely looked soft.
Experiences she shares with friends, the value of being together
DVD,
with others, and appreciating that. Of course, Homura's whole thing is that she's already made the decision for Madoka, so that Madoka doesn't have to make the decision to sacrifice all of that in order to save the world, being Maguka's suffering. And I think this, more than anything that we've seen so far in Madoka Magica, is probably the kickoff, or like the most transgressive moment against this being a magical girl show in the way we...
You just gotta remember that more resolution does cost more money. And you're just literally drawing bigger pictures. With Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, the whole show is drawn in fucking 540p. Is rendered in 540p. Like, even the Blu-rays that say 1080p, it is just an upscale of a 540p, because that's the native resolution of the anime. So I would not be surprised if Hidamari's sketch was literally created at a low resolution. I always think back to, there's this episode of Gintama, Deep In, where they were doing this gag where every episode starts with the character singing this same song right before the action scene. And it's clearly to save budget, because they needed, they were doing some, like, more expensive stuff during that arc. But during the song, they're singing, like, everyone else is, every other show has gone to 16:9, but it hasn't gotten any cheaper.
Know it. That is such a genre-aware statement, drilling in specifically on the elements that help the magical girls, or valuable to the magical girls in defeating the darkness, that this feels the most wrong. For example, consider the final episodes of Sailor Moon, where sacrificing her friends and her family and the world that she knows is the final act that Usagi undertakes. Or even the Spectre sisters in Sailor Moon R, or the Outer Soldiers in Sailor Moon S, or her time as a human and duck in Princess Tutu, or, I could go on and on for examples of these. It's just to say that the right to value those things and then realize that you're going to willingly give up those things for the glamour that is thrust upon you as a magical girl is the entire both prerogative and purpose of the magical girl. You can't tell a magical girl not to give that up. That's what they do. And the argument, of course, for Homura is that Madoka undervalues her experiences therein and her life and her idyllic, circumstances.
Yeah. Also, we pointed out most 1080p or 4K are just produced at 900p and then upscaled to those resolutions. Yeah. I just wish they would be honest about it.
It's a respectable opinion and one that makes for a very interesting story, but it's, of course, not the case at all. It's ironically because Madoka understands how much everybody's lives are worth and the entire scope of everything else that she realizes her self-sacrifice isn't going to be anything compared to the good she can do for the world. She only makes one choice. She's only allowed to make one choice in this entire series. But the choice she makes is telling Homura that she's wrong, right here. Of course, this montage is just charming. For what it's worth, I still love the use of shadows on everything related to Homura, particularly on the high jump, and that's mirrored with Kyubey. It and Homura are kind of these unknown shadows lurking in the background ominously to the idyllic life of Madoka Kaname. Also, placing it in the palm tree makes Kyubey look like a fiendish monster. It's a pretty well-established and well-used directing trick for changing locations is to give background art for each of the locations in between. So we see them leaving the school, going into the background art for used directing trick for changing locations is to give
I want to walk on that.
Background art for
each
of the locations in between. So we see them leaving the school, going into the shopping mall, and then coming into the restaurant here. With a little bit of crowd noise, absolutely perfect transition. Very subtle, very clean, very effective. And coming in on Sayaka pausing while eating is also very cute. Sayaka's genuinely a funny character. Her genre-aware comments aren't out of place either. They're middle school students. They'd probably know what an anime is. On that third extra diegetic level or a thematic level, that her invoking the fact that Madoka is like a character in an anime, it can be considered a little crass. I mean, just look at all the times they do it at that one character in Symphogear. But it works in the context of Madoka Magica because that's kind of the point of Madoka Magica, that a normal magical girl story goes off the rails. And lampshading a cliche in this way is very much a way of invoking that. If Madoka Magica didn't do all the other things I've already pointed out and will continue to do about invoking these past shows, invoking these tropes, putting that level of distance between the events of the story and the viewer, then this line would be a little harder to digest. The shot composition here, pretty good too, because while Madoka is still supported by these two characters, she's faced against them, right? They're opposing views here. The other thing this does is kind of show us the difference in Sayaka's perception again. She's practical. She doesn't believe Madoka when she said she met her in a dream. In 8.5 episodes, she's going to fall in despair because she doesn't believe in miracles and magic and in fate and in, the value of those things. It's not hard to believe when it happens because she makes fun of Madoka for those things right here. She's far more pragmatic than that. The more I think about it, the more she reminds me of Sailor Uranus. But let's put that on the back burner for now. I guess we could also ask why Hitomi doesn't get to be a magical girl. I think she would have maybe enough conflict as much as Madoka does. Maybe in that way she's a pretty good foil for Madoka. They both have no reason to make a contract. They both have no reason to be a magical girl. They both have lives that don't require anything, or they don't necessarily...
How long is this fucking video? Just shy of 80 minutes, but we only have 14 left.
Want for anything. The contrivances of what caused Madoka to become a magical girl in the other timelines are just that, contrivances. We see her compared to Homura and to Madoka in the way that she accepts her dream. It's very likely she believes in miracles and magic, but perhaps all of this is to say something a little bit more about Madoka than it is about Hitomi. There's no reason for Madoka to become a magical girl. It's something that'll come up later with Mami, so let's put that on the back burner too. Homura chasing Kyubey is kind of an inverted callback to the opening episodes of Sailor Moon or Lyrical Nanoha, specifically Lyrical Nanoha as Yuno calls out to Nanoha in the way that Kyubey does as well, telepathy. Admittedly, it's a bit more graphic, but hey, I want to call out the red lights and the sound effects in this short scene here because they feel very metallic. They paint Homura as a robot, which for all intents and purposes she absolutely is at this point. Also, it's very clear to note that she's not using a gun here, or at least the show isn't representing it as a gun or a weapon. It's generic energy blasts. I will talk a lot about the weapon choices of the magical girls over the course of this, but for now it's just very important that the gun aspect to Homura hasn't been revealed. Of course, the visual contrast between that dark cavity and then the super saturated music store with all the glass panes everywhere is insane. And this transition scene is going to be a very cool
the first
way
time
to
seeing
go
that,
between
being
the
like,
two.
Jesus,
Of course, it's hard to tell
my
without
eyes.
the benefit of that omnipresent light, but here in the darkness, it's the same exact thing that we saw in Madoka's dream. I guess this contextualizes the place that Madoka was in when she dreamt, though I do kind of want to stick behind my interpretation of that as a locationless location and interpret this more as a cyclical thing, that she can have a premonition and it can be meaningful. That time isn't necessarily the way we think about it. And there's some great symbols in this shot. First of Madoka being behind the chain link fence, symbolizing that she's in a cage. Homura puts her in a cage, but also her deal with
really
Kyubey
leaned
puts her
in
in a
on that cage
And by
imagery. I
making the
can't
choice
believe I
to come
didn't
involve herself
pick
with
up on
Kyubey, she's now trapped. And I think the chain that falls from the ceiling sends that home, right? Also, the absolute power stance with Homura with the one leg up. I also think this is the first time we see Homura in her magical girl uniform, aside from in the dream very quickly.
It
but
really
I think it's
does feel like almost everything we learn about Homura in this episode, we learn through her legs. Because she's trying so hard not to express herself, you know, she's not moving her arms, she's not moving her face, but her legs tell the entire story of who she is.
kind of easy to miss because she has such an understated magical girl transformation uniform, though it would be a bit of a shock to Madoka. Also, this shot is just fantastically composed, separating Homura, visually from Madoka and Kyubey, her kind of turned away, and then that red eye, which we equated earlier to the robot, but could also be a number of other things, including a heart rate monitor or a bullet trail. Also note that here, just like the scene in the hallway, Homura has to turn around and come back towards the right of the screen. She'll do this later on too, a number of times in a number of different episodes. The ominous choral music now, along with the heartbeat, and again a shot back to the chains. Obviously, Madoka's fear, right, of Homura is the kind of interpretation that we're going to be thinking our first times through, but I think watching this again, you think that this is Homura and her heart rate rising as she sees Madoka and sees how compassionate she is, and that she's going down the path of learning about Kyubey and becoming a magical girl. And then the chains would be Homura's attachment to Madoka, how she has to do this, how she's forever chained to this destiny of Madoka, staring at the object that has...
I can't. He didn't mention it, and maybe he will in a second. But the chains were also in a cross shape. Couldn't help but notice. And I know Akiyuki Shimbo loves his cross imagery. He's brought that to Shap, but that is definitely a Shinbo thing going all the way back through his career. He's always incorporated some kind of crucifixions into the visual symbology of the show. And usually meaningfully so. Like, any chance he can get to tie something, because like Madoka obviously a Jesus-like figure, so the fact that the chains are in a form of a cross, it's like not only are you bound to something, but what you are bound to is the destiny of crucifixion, essentially.
Has chained her, knowing that she can't attack or chastise Madoka for the values that she came to love about her. When she breaks down in Madoka's arms in episode 9, the pressure of seeing her and interacting with her is very apparent. She has time to do something, to say something, but seeing Madoka being Madoka stops her. Then of course Sayaka comes in, again demonstrating an aspect of her personality that was going to lead into her choices later on. Sayaka is perceptive enough to see that Madoka left, to follow her, and then to take action by using the fire extinguisher. Were she not so proactive or so on top of things in general, well, she might have met a different fate. So a lot of the rest of episode 1 is the introduction of the first Witch's Labyrinth and of Mami. There is a lot we want to say about the art design behind this, the concept of the Eldritch Abomination witches, the everything really about the concept.
Landon's right. Mommy's name is Mommy for a reason, for sure. I have to pee again. I'll be right back.
concept of a witch's labyrinth, but I want to save that for other episodes later on where we can get into more depth with it and what it means. It's not to say I'm skipping over it. I'm just saying this episode's been long enough already, and there's some certain things that I want to talk about, acknowledging the fact that there's a lot to talk about with the everything related to those two topics. So instead, let's bring up a few more directing-based choices. The first is that the music track continues from the escape from Homura's scene. The heavy drum beats of the Witch's Labyrinth song give this a kind of plodding and rhythmic and inevitable feel, and I would absolutely draw a comparison to the heartbeat that we saw in the previous scene. Also, there is almost a minute straight from when Sayaka and Madoka enter the Witch's Labyrinth to when Mami comes and puts her protective circle down. And I want to say that the abject terror that is in this minute is so good because there's no context for any of this. I mean, we know that Homura has seen this before and is not surprised by it, but other than that, nothing. And yeah, the imagery, the amount of detail, the, surrealist aspect to it all, the Anthony's chanting in German, the runes on the ground, the very sharp aspects to a lot of things in the Witch's Labyrinth here. I think this part definitely is particularly well composed and paced, even in a show that's particularly well composed and paced. Back to our symbol of the chains, they're still here even though Homura has left the scene, so that's kind of confusing with our interpretation of them being directly related to Homura. And they would seemingly break, right? There is this very clear shot of them snapping, but they're used by Mami to form the protective circle around the pair. And indeed, she holds on to the end of the chain. So cynically, we could see that as Mami capturing these two. I think my more preferred interpretation would be that Mami is now chained to these two in the same way that Homura is chained to Madoka. But it's definitely the first of a couple symbols that I guess we'll see over the course of their interaction where Mami and Homura are kind of opposed or contrasted through the show itself. I mean, we'll talk a lot about the reception of Madoka Magica and how it influenced the changes and the further aspects of the franchise. But needless to say, the fight between Mami and Homura was so lauded and requested by the community because of moments like this, of being set up in symbols like these chains. Again, saving everything about Mami's character design and personality for next episode, there is one bit I want to mention here. It's that Mami has a transformation sequence at the end of episode 1. This may not seem like a big deal to you. Like, isn't that a normal thing that happens in magical girl shows episodically, right? And well, yes, but actually no. On the surface, acceptable. On second evaluation, though, or for anyone who's familiar with the genre, there's no way that Mami should be the one who is transforming here.
Almost
it should
no
be
precedent.
Madoka. I can think of no other example where the eponymous heroine is not the character who transforms in this first episode. And
I mean, not in this way. I would say... Well, I guess we don't really see her transform. I'm just thinking, like, at the start of Heartcatch Precure, very uniquely, there is another, like, Cure fight, like the previous generation's Precure. It starts off showing them fighting, so we do see another magical girl before there is a transformation of our main character in that show, but we don't see like a transformation. Like, we see that girl eventually, we do eventually see her transform, like later into the show. So, and she fulfills much closer of a role to Mami, like probably the closest thing I can think of like a show that has a slightly older magical girl who ends up helping the main characters. But yeah, obviously the focus is very different. Like, that show, still the first episode was about the main character transforming. This should have been more of a hint at the time that this show was airing. Like he said, it's on the surface acceptable, so I don't remember anyone really talking about how weird it was. Like, I know after 2 episodes, people started asking, when is Madoka actually going to become a magical girl? I don't remember it being made like a huge deal out of the fact that she did not transform in episode 1 and somebody else did. But the more you think about it, the more it's like, wait a minute, this doesn't happen. Like, this is really strange. And this should... I would bet there are some viewers, some very savvy viewers, who saw this happen and went, Madoka's never going to transform. Like, somebody must have seen this and immediately realized that. But most people did not. I certainly did it. Y'all talking about Encyclopedia.zone is dead. By the way, rip. That is sad, but DonJolly.com is alive and well. So if you wanted that type of content, DonJolly.com. Anywho.
You know, of course, from the timelines that it should be Madoka, right? Like, if not for the interference of Homura, it would
is a
been.
different vibe.
That inversion.
That's true. But I think my understanding of Don is that he's always trying to sort of send... He's always trying to send the message that he thinks is going to be the most effective. Dagger Magazine... Encyclopedia Zone was kind of like a rejection of Dagger Magazine's ethos, because Dagger was really edgy. And Encyclopedia Zone was edgy, but it was meant to be like cutesy and like we're all gonna make it type energy. I think the pandemic and the politics of 2020, the previous election, the Donald Trump election and the pandemic, the 1-2 punch of that, I don't think Encyclopedia Zone was the answer anymore. Like I think when the government's main psyop became we're all in this together, you can't do that as your counterculture movement anymore. I think Don Jolly going in the direction of making something that feels like very hyper personal and unique, like it's an aesthetic that immediately screams like this is this person. I think that is a more beneficial thing to be doing now.
Is going to be one of many that's going to seem correct, but on closer inspection, not really be what we think it should be. Some quick hits. Another one of these uncomfortable, kind of confusing things that we're just rolling with right now is Mommy's attack here with the giant line of muskets like it's something out of Fate Stay Night. Also muskets, we'll talk more about that. Yet again placing Homura far above everyone else. Whether that's a perception of her thing or the fact that she's
this
actually
is like a
looking down
hyper
on all
Asuka
of them
moment
because
right here. Endless Jess was the one who first pointed out to me that in Evangelion, Asuka is so insistent on like maintaining a position of recognizable power over everybody that she always just stands on top of shit. Like she always will stand up on the wall, she'll stand up in her chair, like she just insists on standing with her eye line above people, particularly her peers. You know, anybody her own age, she tries to literally stand above them. And Homer is doing it to like the most comical degree. To an extent, like this goes beyond, she's higher up than a stage. You know, she's higher up than an amp on top of a stage. Like, she's really looking down on them.
She knows a lot more than all of them
Mommy.
at this point. It's neither here nor there. Maybe both. The pacing is so good after Mommy's line.
I think this is a good way of establishing as well that, like, Mommy supposedly knows the most about this situation, but this immediately makes Homura seem like actually she knows way more. Whatever she's not telling us is just way above what she's not telling us, you know?
Kind of, wouldn't it be best if we didn't do this right now? One of the hallmarks that I have for good visual directing in a narrative medium is the willing hallmarks that I have.
This is a really interesting expression to me because it's like she's trying to get a read, like, but she's like, it simultaneously says unconfident but cocky, like she's trying to portray herself as confident, but she's actually feeling like, what the fuck is going on with you, you know? It's a really interesting face.
For good visual directing in a narrative medium is the willingness for the show to not say something. They've really been doing that all episode with Homer's distant attitude, but the way it's done with Mommy's veiled threat and then Homer's stoic face, kind of a soft gasp from Madoka and Sayaka when they realize what's going on, and some back and forth shots of Homer's frown and Mommy's smile. Then kind of this lingering establishing shot really gives it time to breathe, really gives us time to consider the implications. And one last time in this episode, we have a shot of somebody's feet as they turn around. It's a meaningful contrast now that Homura is turning away from Madoka, though she doesn't leave to the left. She's not making progress right now. Another quick symbol from the prologue was the exit sign, and then leading to the choice of Madoka to be a magical girl, where it's now associated again with Kyubey and his contract and becoming a magical girl and that type of destiny, if you want to call it that. In a lot of ways, it is the exit for her, right? It's the exit of this show. It's the exit of Homura's, intense obsession of Madoka being trapped in this purgatory. Her exit is making a wish. She just has to make the right one. One more thing about the general pacing of this episode. It rolls the credits over this last scene in the TV broadcast. They stuffed as much as they could into this first episode. It generally has to end with Kyubei's thing and Mommy's transformation sequence, right? But they did so much, everything in their power, to get all those little scenes in there that they thought were all so valuable. I might have cut the teacher and her ramblings, but no. Finally, I teased the fact that a lot of the changes they've made to Madoka Magica after the fact have been negative changes. I think you can kind of see the first one here. In the Blu-ray release, they have a character song as the ending theme. I hate this. I honestly think this is a terrible creative decision. I think it completely ruins the mood of the tone and then takes you out of everything that was going on at the end of episode 1. I think the much stronger creative decision is to not have an ending theme for episodes 1 and 2 like it did when it was airing on TV.
I fully agree, and I'm glad he explained that, because I remember being literally confused. Because when I watched Madoka on TV, yeah, there just wasn't an ED until episode 3, and that was like the clinching moment of like the reveal, like, haha, you were probably expecting a cute ED, but turns out it was me, Dio, you know, like, this feels like overkill. Like, maybe this was the intent originally and they just hadn't finished this ED yet when the show came out. Like, this was probably intended to make it feel, like, triple down, this is a normal magical girl show, you know? So I wouldn't be surprised if this was the original intent, but adding it in didn't make things better. It also was probably just to sell the song. Like, you know, they might not have known Madoka was going to be a big hit until it's out, and then they're like, okay, now we got to really push the character song sales, you know? But, yeah.
I think the happy-go-lucky bubbliness of the song that they've chosen here contradicts the aura of everything seems quite right, but it doesn't really match up if you think about it. The song is just simply too straightforward and happy, whereas the episode that came before it was happy but with a serious and disturbing melancholic undertone, as well as a number of unfamiliar areas. Anyway, that's completely outside the scope of the actual show, so whatever. So we've arrived at the end of the first episode of Madoka Magica. Thank you for sticking with me through all of that. In the next episode, I want to talk all about Mommy and her portrayal and her ideology. There's actually a lot of ideological talk in episode 2 that's really good and really interesting to dive into, as well as touch on the things about the Witch's Labyrinth that we kind of skipped over here. It is a lot, but I hope that you'll bear with me as we look further in depth into Puella Magi Madoka Magica.
Holy shit, gang, we did it. We finished the 80-minute video that we started at, I think, literally 5:30 in the morning. Because I had told Leaf Blady, Leaf had asked, would you watch a 80-minute video for $100? And I had said, Leaf had asked this at like, fucking, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And I said, wait till the early morning when nobody's around and I'm out of ideas. And so 5:30 rolls around and Leaf came in and was like, well, you know, is this a good time? And I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's go. And yeah, it was a great video. I ended up having a lot to say about it, which is part of why it took so long. Obviously, I allowed myself to be interrupted by chat and stuff, and I took a huge nap in the middle of it for like 2.5 hours. So, you know, other things happened, but yeah, it did take all morning. But it was a good video. It was very solid. I could see listening to the rest of those, you know, listening to the rest of those. It definitely made me appreciate Madoka more. You know, it made me think about that first episode and be like, yeah, okay, this is, you know, there's a lot of stuff I just didn't pick up on when I watched it the first time, and that I just wasn't really trying that hard to think about the second time, you know. But when you really go through it granularly like that, it's like, yeah, everything in this show is obviously very thought out. Every image was considered, you know. So it's the kind of show that is worth going through like that. They also made a good video on gushing over magical girls and other shows. I gotta rewatch their Utena series sometime as well. Yeah, I would definitely be interested to watch the Utena series. What was the name of the channel? It is... Let's go back real quick. shit. How far back did I not? Was this a different tab? Did I like close the tab we were watching that in? Here we go. Clear and sweet. All one word.
We need to talk
Clear
about
and
something
sweet.
interesting.
We should probably subscribe, yeah? I got canceled for gushing over this anime. Visiting the Sailor Moon Museum. I've seen the new Spice and Wolf. Oh boy. I could not make it through the first episode of the new Spice and Wolf, so I might watch that also. Yeah, this seems like a channel with actually a lot of videos I would probably enjoy, so I'll probably end up watching a whole bunch of this whenever next I am binging analysis videos. Good stuff. Good stuff, clear and sweet. Is the new Spice and Wolf bad? It just looks like worse. And when you've got a new show that looks worse than the 15-year-old old show, I'm just like, why did you do this? It's not that it like all the way looks worse. It's one of those where it's like a trade-off of like there's certain aspects that are better, but like the overall feel just isn't right. It's not even that the old show was like super gorgeous. I do remember it being one of the first anime that like kind of looked HD to me. But it was just the color work. Like the color work of the original show was really, really good. And the soundtrack was also one of my favorite anime soundtracks of all time. So like knowing how long it's been since I've seen the original, like watching a new one and immediately feeling like, oh, this is worse. I don't want to, this isn't the way I want to re-experience Spice and Wolf, you know? Like it'd be different if I had just seen the old one. And like, you know, was curious to see how they were going to do it differently, but I just immediately felt like, oh, this isn't good, you know? And I was trying to show it to Bird too, so like that feeling inside me, I was like, this isn't how I want you to experience the story for the first time, you know? Have a good one, Leaf Blady. Thank you again for the massive contributions. Oh, I don't think you were here when I did your tier list either, but I did do that on the last stream, so if you missed that, you know, you can go find that over there too. Damn, Mint got some epic locations for her reviews coming up. I dig it. Look at this shit. Where is this? That looks cool as fuck. Okay. Well, it's 2 o'clock, which means Bird's going to be off work. He would probably want me to still be streaming so that he will have something to watch while he's driving home. So I'm going to go take a piss for a second and just maybe grab a snack. And then I'll be back. And we're going to keep streaming. I think my grandma was here just now, and then she just took off. And Clear and Sweet made that tier list template. I see. It was meant for ranking how important the shows are to the magical girl genre. Well, I'm sure that he's a lot more qualified to do that than I am, but I just did my own feelings about them. Yes, indeed, Landon. Yokohama Kaideshi Kiko is still the injecting heroin into your eyeballs of Slice of Life. To quote something that anime blogger Shiro said way back in the day. I think it was Shiro. Maybe it was the Big N. It's one of those two guys. Okay, I'm gonna play somebody else's video for a minute while I go take a piss. Oh, let's play Ellen's video. Hell yeah. Alright, you're gonna watch Ellen's latest Let's Play for a little bit. Okay, no you're not, because Cosmic Blue just made a $5 donation to ask, you and Bird ever get around to watching Non-Biri Noka, anime that made you reappreciate the small things in life? No, we have not gotten around to that. But I will definitely bring it up to him. Farming Life in Another World. I'll just leave this open in a tab so that I'll remember it. I think it's very possible that just seeing this big titty girl holding a bag of tomatoes or whatever might be enough to entice him. I'm kind of enticed by whatever these cow-like, goat-like things are back here. Or maybe they're wolves? Yeah, okay, they're just like wolves. Never mind. That's okay. But anime that made me reappreciate the small things. The first thing that comes to mind is Usagi Drop. And specifically... just niceness, just like people being nice. Kindness is real. That's the name of this post I made. My mom was in the hospital with cancer, and basically my dad went about finding every single person who's ever heard of her to bring to the hospital, and people brought all these gifts and stuff, and it was just an incredibly heartwarming time. And Usagi Drop has this bit where just like these two people are just helping each other out. She's sick, he's helpful. They're just, even though they've already got enough stress going on in their lives, they make time to help one another. And this show, it made me feel that, like, oh yes, like this is what being human is about. Never mind where the manga of Usagi Drop ends up going. The manga doesn't exist for Usagi Drop. It's just an anime, all right? The cursed Usagi Drop, indeed. So yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind as an anime that made me like reflect, appreciate the smaller things. Let's real quick. Let's just burn through my anime list real quick and see if I can think of another one. Sangatsu no Lion. That's another good example. Just the thought of organizing this by score made me think of Sangatsu no Lion. But like one of my favorite scenes in almost any anime is when the old dude who trains Rei, I can't remember his name, but he's like telling the story of his hometown and how it's this like snowy town where during the winter they set up this service where they like drive a van around to all the old folks and bring them their food, and then on the weekends they drive them all down to like the community center, and everybody plays Go shogi, because that's what's their town produced a shogi prodigy. It's basically all they're known for. So like he's brought that back to create culture for these old people. It was the most like eye-opening to me of like, yeah, this is how everything works. Like this is how anything ever gets done, is somebody thinks like, how do I help out all the fucking old people in this community, and then like figuring out a system and like just creating, like, to me that is like fundamentally what life is about, is like identifying problems and then creating solutions that involve everybody, or that just like have a holistic effect where like everybody understands they're being helped, they're part of that community. Really like that as well. So kind of a similar message. Just any time that a show presents to me like real human core ideals, Log Horizon, the fucking burger scene, one of my favorite scenes in anime, where he eats a bite of a cheeseburger and says this flavor is going to change the world, and then the entire economy becomes a thing overnight because they made a cheeseburger. One of my favorite moments in anime. So okay, I think that's enough. Those are all great examples from some of my favorites. Then we've got $2 Canadian from Shaq. I need you to read Gundam Manga Mondays or what? So have I never talked about it at all? I mean, I know I did a review of the movie. Because I've only read the first volume of Gundam. I have it physically. I have a physical copy of Battle Angel Alita 1. I've seen the OVA. I've seen the live action film, and all of them I've just been kind of like, yeah, that's good. Like the OVA, I love the aesthetics. I love the concept of the characters. The story never struck me so hard that I would consider it like a favorite. The first volume of the manga felt very like, okay, this is just like Mad Max, but really violent, And the movie was fun. The movie actually seemed like it took from much further into the story than the OVA because of all the rollerball arc and everything, whatever the fuck that game was called. I'm interested. I am interested to read Gundam. I just know it's very long. It's not something that I'm gonna be able to just like. I don't know. How much do I need to read of this to talk about it on Manga Monday, would you think? So I've read 1 of 9 volumes. So I could probably handle doing 9 volumes of Alita. I don't know. If there was a monetary offer involved in this, I got to figure out what I would charge to read a manga. I think that would go a long way for me as well. Because we've established this $50 an episode of anime. Probably takes a little longer to read a volume of manga, but I don't know if I don't feel like it would be worth more money necessarily. Like if it would be $50 a volume, what would it cost to read 9 volumes? Then would be like $450. I don't think anybody's gonna pay for that. I don't know. Maybe we'll look into it. I mean, Last Order is 19 volumes. So that's considerable. And then you've got Kase Senki here, which is still going since 2014. So it's fucking long. It's quite fucking long, this whole thing. But we'll see about it. I get asked about Gundam a lot. And it seems like it happens more and more. Like over the years, this manga has continued, the cult of Gundam has continued to grow. So I am interested in it because I've heard about it more and more over the years. All right, I gotta use the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'm gonna play the new Ellen Horai video real quick while I'm gone.
Alright, I think I stop around here. Hello, my lovelies. How have you been? Well, time has come. We must make a decision. Oh yeah, I think I need to feed a certain someone. Alright. How are you little scamps doing? What are you up to? And this game has a lot of text. I don't know if it's good, so you know. It's a good problem to have, I guess. Anyways. How have you been, everyone? I hope you're doing great. I'm doing okay. And these kids are annoying. Well, we have a few things to do. Too many things to do, in fact. All of our girls want to meet up right now. We could also get more money, which we would desperately need after, you know, after our last attempt at doing things. That wasn't great, huh? But it's alright. We also have to go check up on Muffy, I guess, so I'll look around town and I'll see if I can find that little fucker. Where are you up to? What are you talking about? Yeah. She could have just been guessing, but... yeah. You know how it is. Oh, look at the little kitty. She's so cute. I love the little kitties. Alright, I know I have to go visit Muffy. That awful little motherfucker. But first, let me talk to all the people, please. Alright, yeah, don't trust that guy.
Alright, I'm back. That's little two shoes with Ellen. She's been let's playing it. Let's go check that out. It looks fucking adorable. I'm just taking a moment right now to reflect on that we accomplished the goal of the stream. And in the way I was hoping to, which is to say, by 2 o'clock. Because I really wanted it to be that when Bird gets home, I can say, I did it. I made the $400. We'd been talking last night. Bird was very unsure about me doing a 24-hour stream. Because I basically pitched to him, like, I think I can definitely make $400 in a day, but I might have to stream for 24 straight hours. And he was like, well, you have already been up for 10 hours. So maybe tonight's not the night. And midnight rolled around and I was like, it probably won't take me all day. Like, I'll be able to get to sleep at some point. It won't take 24 hours. And it didn't, but it also happened way faster than I expected. If you weren't here for the stream last night, we watched the first episode of the Jellyfish Don't Dance at Night. We watched episode 17 of Mushoku Tensei Season 2. Both of those were paid for by Devin Hall for the $50 watching episode of anime thing. How long did it take to reach 400? Shortly after this VOD started. Because we were at $13 left when I started this video. And then I think I had edited the title within like 15, 20 minutes to We Did It gang type thing. How does copyright work in the stream and watching anime? We weren't watching it like on... I had it on my second monitor, so we did it like commentary style, where you just go find your own upload and watch it at the same time. Now, I've probably gotten copyright struck on the previous stream just for the music I was playing. Like, I would be shocked if this is going to be monetizable. It's probably still processing right now. Yeah, partially blocked. Okay. Where is it blocked, though? Because I don't care if it's not anywhere that people watch my content. How do I... Here we go. This is the thing I want. See details. Yeah, I had a feeling Liquor Store was going to get me because I kind of played way too much of it. But video cannot be monetized. Video cannot be monetized. Enabled for revenue sharing. Cannot be monetized. Cannot be monetized. Eligible for revenue sharing. Okay, so I'm okay with all that. None of that's a block, though. Where is it blocked? Belarus and Russia. That tends to be... Every time one of these streams has gotten blocked partially, it has been in Belarus and Russia. I assume they just have different copyright laws than here that make it so they just are like, fuck it, we're not playing it there at all, as opposed to the revenue sharing. But, I mean, this one, it's funny when you see both, because, like, it's like eligible for revenue sharing. It's like, yeah, but you're not... It's not going to happen, though, because it also cannot be monetized, according to these ones. So, yeah, this is not going to be a video that runs any ads. But I made 300 and... What was 300 and... Fuck, I can't do math. $87 on that stream. So, that's a lot more than I would ever have possibly made in by having it monetized. So I'm not too worried about that. As long as it's not blocked. I would hate for it to get blocked and then lose 12 hours of, content. Whether I make any more money off of this or not, it's free watch time at the very least for anybody who decides to click on it and just leave it running. That's a hell of a lot of watch hours to add to the channel if somebody just fucking throws that on for an all day. I got that fucking Remy Wolf song stuck in my head just by seeing the name of it. But yeah, now I'm pretty much just planning to go until Bird gets home. and then I'll probably cut and maybe not stream again today because I could do anything else. When is JJK video scheduled to come out? Not yet. We still have to finish editing that. That's probably going to be my next stream, actually. Because I pretty much didn't want to do that for the last few days because I'm just trying to make as much money as possible before the month is over. And people tend not to super chat me when I'm editing because they don't want to interrupt the flow of me editing. So, yeah, I figured I would hold off on that until I'm done with the big money-making streams, and then I can go at the start of next month. I'm still going to be streaming, but I'm going to do more stuff that's not like just outright e-begging, like, please give me money, please give me as much money as possible, because it should be easier. It should not be as hard to make as much money as I did this month as it was this month, because A, more people know I'm streaming, B, I will have started from earlier in the month, and C, I will do a lot more conceptual stuff and figure out like what's going to make people really excited to donate to the stream, you know, not just doing it because I'm desperate for money and they like me, but like because it's just such a good time that your wallet starts floating away from you, you know, people who feel the need to express themselves through money, aka great people. It looks like a fun video. Idion clip used, very happy. Yeah, I think I should be able to knock it out in one long session. Like, I think if there was a stream where it was just like a solid 6-hour editing live stream, you know, I think I could probably knock the whole rest of it out. Because we did all the really hard parts. Like, the start of the video is the really hard part. The rest of it should mostly just be finding footage that matches what I'm saying about the shows I'm talking about. So that shouldn't be as hard. I shouldn't say it can't be as hard. It shouldn't be as hard. Especially because the audience will probably remember exactly where that stuff happened. So anything I can't find off the top of my head, somebody's going to be like, that's in episode 15. I'll be like, fuck yeah. Let's go. Koof for $2 says money is a great way to express yourself. I agree. I highly agree. You know, people always say vote with your wallet and stuff like that. So, you know, it's important. You know, you got to pick a champion or a few champions in this life. And I'm aiming to be your champion. I'm basically pitching myself. I am a pick-me. I'm a literal pick-me right now. And I'm like, I'm the one. Put me in, Chief. Put me in. It's Coach. Put me in. It's my turn. Chief Coach. Coach of the Chiefs. Put me in, Coach of the Chiefs. Forget about Taylor Swift's boyfriend. It's my time. Oh snap, we back and hit the goal. That we did. Heavily, 120 of that was pure Leaf Blady putting in for us to watch that incredibly long analysis video of Madoka Magica, which was very good. And also to create a Magical Girl tier list, which I also did. I probably should have saved that as an image file, because then I could have brought it up on this stream. But we can just go look at the final results of that real quick over on the previous stream. Boy, let's see how far in. Oh, this is me asleep. There was also a 2-hour sleep session. 3-hour. There was a several-hour sleep session.
This shot right here is probably the opposite of it. That said, though,
God, I look so fucking dead. Look at that. I look like I am fucking really struggling to be alive. I got, like, at some point, yeah, okay, where the blanket comes in, at 7.5 hours, right here, I got a real bad stomach ache from drinking too much coffee and had to take, like, some real bad shits. And I ended up feeling like a light shock, so that's why I was wearing a blanket. And from that point forward, it was really hard for me to get my stomach feeling settled again. And so eventually I just decided I need to sleep. Like, I cannot physically handle being awake anymore, so we're just going to turn this into a sleep stream. And there you go. There's me tossing and turning for 3.5 hours. But where's the magical girl rankings part? Okay, that was me watching Baby Stabber while I was... Okay, here it is. Here it is. This is Magical Girls. Okay, let's find the very end. I need that full screen ready to play. Okay, yeah, there we go. I can't fucking make out anything because the quality is so goddamn low. Okay, here we go. The S tier was Cardcaptor Sakura, Kill La Kill, and Revolutionary Girl Utena. The A tier is Arjuna, Cran Kingdom, Heartcatch Precure, Little Witch Academia, Madoka Magica, Ojamajo Doremi, Princess Tutu, Vivid Strike, and Penny and Stocking with Garter Belt. And then B tier, Anya Maritante, Creamy Mommy, Fancy Lala, Futariwa Precure, what's her fucking name? I can't read it. Luluko, Nanoha A's, Project Aiko, Re Cutie Honeys, Nanoha Strikers, Tweeny Witches, Vivid, and Wonder Planet. And then my C tier, Flip Flappers, Lyrical Nanoha, Penguin Drum, Raising Project, Sailor Moon, Ray Earth, Ribbon Chan, fucking, what's it called? Rosa Versailles, Shugo Kara, Twin Angel, Wheat Cross, and Sweet Mint. And then the D tier is like all the shitty ones, and you know, none of that matters. Everything else is either D tier, I hadn't seen it, or you know, Kill La Kill is more of like a tangential. But they said in like the logic of the thing was basically stated that like they picked everything that's like slant Magical Girl as well. It's just meant to be the most complete, and it was meant, according to Leaf Bladey, this was meant to sort by their importance to Magical Girl history. So I would be interested to see how the chart was used originally to do that. But for me, that was just my personal takes. But yeah, a significant amount of this. Let's see, when does the Leaf Bladey Super Chat show up? Somewhere in here. At some point, there's going to be a red button that sits on screen for a real long time. Yeah, here we go. So right around here, Leaf Bladey left the Super Chat. And so from 6 hours up until I went to sleep, it was either watching that Madoka video or working on the Magical Girl tier list with a few interruptions. Actually, my sleep music was chosen by chat too. I got a few Super Chats while I was asleep that I read once I woke up. And there was about 25 minutes lost from the end of this where, like, I woke up like 15 minutes after we had passed the 12-hour mark and basically just talked to the chat a little bit about, like, should I restart the stream because, like, we're going to lose everything past this point? And they were like, you should definitely restart it. It did not take long after restarting to hit the goal. So, yeah, it's been a great fucking time. Bird's coworkers congratulate me on the sleep stream. Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad you told them about it because I'm sure they were cracking the fuck up about that. But people have probably heard of that, right? Like, young people know about sleep streams and shit. It can't be like a totally alien concept to them, whether they really understand why anybody would pay for it or not. Yeah, I spent a lot of time doing a tier list of all my albums, listening to music that people recommended, watching videos. Yeah, it was a great time. It was a really fun night. Really fun way to make a lot of money. Especially what kept tripping me out is people kept paying me to do things that I enjoyed. With the one exception of watching that Mushoku Tensei episode, which legitimately gave me a headache. Like, I was already kind of, I'd been up late. I was like a little bit fuming, and like that put me in just like my head was like in pain, and it took a minute to like come down from it. They all seemed pretty bewildered. Well, okay. Yeah, maybe it's not as normal as I think. I mean, it was about 2.5 hours worth of sleep, and I think I made... The fact that I made money at all in my sleep is enough for me to be like, well, is there ever a reason to not film yourself sleeping? Now, granted, I was really worried. I was like, what if I like sleep talk? What if I take my clothes off in my sleep or something? Like, you know, you can't control yourself when you're asleep. What if I snore really loud the whole time? I don't even know. I don't know if there was snoring in there. You know, nobody said anything about it if there was. At least I didn't read anyone say anything about it. But, so I don't think I read back through everything when I just like woke up and I was like, oh shit, I'm alive. Frankly, I'm surprised that I feel as awake as I do, because I only slept for like 3 hours maybe. Yeah, it was a good sleep. I guess when you really need the sleep, it comes in hard and heavy and true, you know? This is why Twitch streamers sleep on stream and do subathons. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It all makes sense to me. It's just a matter of your will to, like, do something like that, you know? Involve invasive force in your private time, but I mean, it was a desperation sleep. It wasn't like a comfort sleep. It was like if I can catch a couple hours, I think I'll be able to continue the stream, but never stop streaming, you will get more money. That's the theory. I mean, that's what me and Bert are probably going to do this weekend out camping. We're going to be camping and just probably stream as much of it as humanly possible. Bird, as soon as you get home, remind me to book that second night at the campground, because I didn't want to do it on stream because I didn't want to have to type all my information in, and I still don't want to do it on stream right now. But I'll just end the stream when you get back and then do that. Whether or not I stream again tonight, it could happen. It could happen. Because why not push it as far as possible, right? You know, why not see just how much money can I make before the end of the month? Having over $2,000 is going to be really awesome. It's going to be very special, you know. Going into June, knowing, just spending 22 days rubbing my hands, waiting for that $2,000 to show up. That's going to be me all month. $2,000 in the mail. I just gotta not get hit by a car and die, or lose my YouTube account, or get everything. I don't think that would mean I don't get paid even, but I just gotta make sure that there's nobody fucks me out of my money. Like Belle Delphine, when she lost like $90,000 on selling her bathwater or whatever, and shit was fucked up. PayPal just took all her money. I don't know how they were allowed to do that, but they just took like $90,000 from her. Crazy shit. We hit the month's super chat goal. We hit ourselves in the face. Indeed, Landon, coming at you, Anime Snob. I mean, Anime Snob literally admitted in his follow-up video that he had made zero money off of our war and that I was making 40 times what I had been making. So, you know, I think he's pretty much admitted defeat already. I think he pretty much tucked tail as soon as he realized his audience did not like him enough to make sure that he stays richer than me all year. Now, granted, it could be that they're waiting to see if I'm actually competition. Because I only had $40 and he had $8,000. So it could be that people just don't believe they need to give him money, that I'll just end up spending it all before the year's over, and therefore it will be a moot point. And that could be true. So it could be that if we're in the final stretch and I'm sitting there on 7,500 and he's still got $8,000, there's a chance his audience will fund him just. But I think we're going to blow past him a lot sooner than that. I think we're going to develop such an insane lead that I would have to really fuck up to not have that money at year's end. So I think it's gonna be more like I have to find another challenger. Like I have to find somebody with more money to say that I'm gonna have more money than by end of year. After I once I've passed Snob, once I've got $8,000, and I'm just sitting on $8,000 in like September, that's when I'll choose my next target based on whoever I know has an amount of money that I could achieve by the end of the year. How much of the 2,000 is going to saving investment? Well, I mean, my plan is just simply to not spend it. I could invest some of it into I bonds or bills, I guess. It's hard to know where I'm going to be on June 22nd, because it could be that I end up needing that money like immediately for whatever we're doing right away. At some point, Bert and I are hoping to get a place and get out of my parents' house and out of their hair. My parents, they would really like to have their house to themselves. So, and I would really like to have a house to myself. So if we end up paying rent, that could cut into, the chunks of money. Now, granted, the goal is, of course, to make more than $2,000 next month. $2,000 was the starting baseline. This is what we're now have to work up from. This was this was level 1. This is just what could we get done by the end of this month? Next month we've got a whole battle plan. I went into this month not even understanding how fucking the streaming shit works. So by the end of next month, we will have a much more robust system for this. It won't feel so slapdash. It'll feel like slap ass. Anyway, Cosmic Blue with another $5. What role does physical appearance / beauty play in the minds of transphobes or anyone who doesn't understand or is willfully ignorant of what gender is? Huge. Including trans people's self-hatred. Like, a lot of it comes from that, the outer hatred as well. But massively. And I think attractive people are highly noticeable. Like, they're people who get a lot of attention, and so their feelings, their attitudes are better understood by the masses because they are just seen more. But, like, not a lot of people really understand the experience of being unattractive or outright ugly and how different of a life experience that is. And I think that a lot of what trans people get is just the same stuff that unattractive people get. It's mostly just about feeling like if someone's unattractive, you're allowed to bully them. Like, you're just allowed to, like, you feel like you've got a natural something over this person. And so, like, it's like a leverage point. And I think that it's also something you can easily leverage against yourself. Like, well, you're ugly, so you'll never be as happy, you'll never be as successful as somebody who has all the same things you have but is also attractive. And it's like, well, that's not going to happen. You're a totally different person. Being the way you are makes you who you are. You have to value yourself for who you are, not for who you're, not be worried about who you're not. You got to think about, okay, well, like, yeah, sure, I'm ugly. What's cool about being ugly? Lots. There's lots of ways that being ugly can be cool. And there's lots of artists who express that kind of stuff, like Guillermo del Toro. He is somebody who is fascinated with monsters and with ugly creatures and things that are, that have an aesthetic beauty to them that immediately reads, but also is alien or not, it's beautiful differently. It's beautiful because you care about it, or feels threatening until you understand it, and then you think it looks amazing. I think he, of course, romanticizes. His idea of an ugly thing is a very beautiful idea of an ugly thing, even just visually. But there are plenty of people who celebrate the ugly, who find power in it. And so, I think being obsessed with beauty is something that honestly should be made fun of. Like, if somebody makes fun of you for being ugly, you should make fun of them for thinking that is something that matters. You know, like, it just tells you something about that person's values, that they hold their appearance as a major part of who they are, that, like, they would be offended if they felt ugly, you know, which probably means they do feel ugly. Contextually, everyone feels ugly compared to somebody. And, like, the people, the really beautiful people, a lot of them hate themselves way more because they think they are supposed to be as beautiful as possible. But they're all, again, everybody has somebody who they think is the better looking version of them, you know? So if you're really obsessed with appearances and you can't get over that someone looks better than you, then it's going to fuck your whole life up, you know? For me, I've said this before, but transitioning, a big part of my ability to transition is being okay with being an ugly woman. And I've talked about how Ego Raptor, he talks a lot about how much he wants to be a hot woman. He wants to be a beautiful woman. He says it all the time. And everybody's like, he always says like, doesn't everybody just want to be an attractive woman? It's like, no, everybody wants to be attractive. Everybody wants to be attractive because you want to have all the advantages that come from it. But you don't understand that attractive people, their brains they're not thinking of themselves as being the most attractive, or even if they are, they think that comes with its own problems. Like, everybody just makes their own problems, you know. So you can blame the exterior forces that are working against you, but they are themselves insecure, and they're only effective against you if you are insecure. You know, if someone calls me the F slur, for instance, that's not an insult to me. I suck dick. I am the F slur. So, like, if somebody else calls me that, then it makes me think, well, why do you feel like that would be effective? Because you wouldn't want to be called that. And why, like, most people don't care. Most people, it's not really effective to be called something they're not, because they're like, well, I'm not that, so why would you say so? But if you're insecure that you might be that, if you are insecure that you might be an F slur, and you don't like that, and you see somebody else who is openly being the thing you're trying to keep yourself from being, that insecurity is going to cause you to lash out. So when I see transphobes, I almost always see people who are insecure about their own appearance. And it's not necessarily that they are insecure about being trans, but it's usually men who are insecure about their masculinity. It's men who know they are very effeminate, who are upset that someone they see as being perhaps more alpha than them is trying to say they're a woman. You know, like, for me, in my case, like, I have a boss personality. But you have to consider that women also get this. Like, when a woman acts bossy, you know, when a woman bosses up, she gets called bossy, she gets called pretentious, she gets called a bitch, she gets called a cunt. Like, people acting against type, and especially in a way that makes them seem superior to insecure people, those insecure people are always going to lash out at whatever they can. If they're insecure because they feel ugly, they're going to bully you for feeling ugly. If they're insecure because they feel effeminate, they're going to bully you for being masculine, you know? But I think it's massively, I just think that the idea of, physical appearance and beauty plays a huge role. And people will be so forgiving of someone they consider beautiful, and so, you know, so upset with somebody they don't at, like, first blush. You know, it's when people say, like, first impressions matter, it's not even the way you behave, it's just the way you look right on the surface, you know? Like, that's the first impression. People see, like, in real life, people expect me to be just, I guess, more, like, serious or, like, upset or even just deep than I really am in conversation. So, like, the first impression I give is always kind of stand up, like, stand back, you know? And then when you actually hear me talk, usually people's expectations are subverted, and it takes them in a different direction from where they thought it was going to be, you know? But, like, the initial impression is so powerful, most people never even get to that stage of, like, hearing what I have to say. It's just like they take one look and they're like, whoa, holy fuck, you know? Like, it's a powerful impression, whether it's positive or negative. Um, Shaq said van life saga, and Bird responded, hopefully someday soon, Shaq. Want to build our own. Haven't found a lot of vans or RVs that are friendly to Bird's height. I don't think so. A lot of people have been speculating that Aaron is trans for years. Also, a 4x4 Sprinter would be cool. Yeah, I mean, the Mercedes Sprinters are like the tallest, best travel vans, but they're also unfathomably expensive. But we've been looking into road living options like crazy. Ultimately, we want to own land and a portable living situation, because like it's not that we want to have to constantly be traveling or like paying, lot of expenses for other people's land. Like owning a place, owning a spot where we could always park the house would be nice. But the house itself also being transmittable, also nice. So like the ideal system is some sort of either truck and trailer or RV or van, basically whatever we are able to afford when we have the money, as these streams continue and I start actually having money in the bank at the end of each month instead of being desperately close to the line. Living out of a Sprinter is becoming a trend in Canada. That's a place to do it. I would hate any... One of the great things about living on the road is that when the weather's about to get shitty somewhere, you can head somewhere else. Like, if you have that level of literally I can go wherever I want. Like when we were traveling last year, we couldn't do that because we were traveling for work. So wherever we had to be there. And if the weather was really shitty, that's just something we had to deal with, But if you can afford to spend summers up north and winters down south and, drive away from snowstorms, I think it's actually crazy that like humans had such a nomadic existence up until for like most of our history, like so tribal for so much of human history. And now that we have the technology to do it to a way better level, not that many people do it. I shouldn't say not that many. There's actually a lot of people like living even in the US. Like if you go to the places these people go, they're packed. Anywhere that is like an RV park or anywhere that's like a national park, whatever, there's tons of people. And not all of them live in that stuff, but like particularly in California, there are so many people living on the side of the road. Like fucking Huntington Beach, like the side of any given road is just full of people living in vans and cars and stuff like that. Have I increased the goal since hitting the first one? No, I hadn't thought about it. We are at we're pretty much at 130 right, or 430 right now. 430 total. We're at 45 total for this chat, for this stream. We were at 387 on the last one. I've been talking so long that it's hard to get the words to go in the correct order. I don't know what I mean, I think I'll do that if we come back. Because like I said, Bird, once you get here, I'm planning to stop for a bit, get something to eat. I haven't really eaten since last night, so I'm getting low on energy. So I gotta boost my energy back up food wise. And then if we decide to stream again tonight just to see how far we can push it, we'll set a new goal. We'll make it outrageous. We'll make it like $3,000. We'll just see what the fuck. Like, let's see if we can push another whole fucking $1,000. Somehow we'll jump from making 400 in a day to 1,400 in a day. We'll make it work. It'll all make sense. No, do you think it's a better idea, everybody, to set the goal like just within reason, or like far outside of reason? What is the better way to approach it? Make it $3,267 just for the meme. What is the meme of 3267? I don't know what that string of numbers means. I hope I didn't just say like a fucking dog whistle or something. Caught another stream. Hell yeah. This one's not gonna last too much longer, but there's a chance I'll be coming back before the night's over. But we've achieved what I set out to do, so I'm coasting right now. I'm so blissed out on doing, manifesting the future I wanted for myself, the present I wanted for myself. What had been an ideation of a future is now a manifested present. And the whole time, just pure belief. I went into it thinking this will definitely happen. The only time I expressed any doubt was when I was feeling really sick. Like when I was sitting here and I was like, I don't know, like hopefully I make that $400 and hopefully I don't like fall asleep and not wake up for the rest of the day, but oh yeah, I'm very curious about the Starlink shit. I could almost maybe not hate Elon as much if Starlink works well. Because theoretically, Starlink will make this job possible. Like, if Bird and I, if we want to be able to stream literally anywhere, and Starlink actually works literally anywhere, that would be really nice. But we don't know. We've seen a person with it once, but we have not been able to talk to them or ask anybody about it. I haven't seen any reviews. I don't know if I trust them, because there's a lot of payola flying around that Elon character. Landon said, I forgot Elon talks so fucking weird, then you remember he's not from America. It's not him being South African that makes him talk like that. He does not talk like a normal South African person at all. That is raw robot brain autism that makes him talk that way. I think when I watch Elon Musk talk, what I see happening is that he has way too many thoughts. Like, he has too many options. Because he'll sit there and he'll kind of consider, and the way his eyes look is like, I'm imagining, in a video game menu when you're having to scroll down like a really long list and you're seeing like the... Like, think of a Super Smash Bros. Melee when you're on the challenges page. And you're getting to like challenge 99. You're just scrolling all the way down. That's what it looks like is happening in Elon's head, is like he's having 200,000 ideas and then trying to pick the one that like will get him in the least trouble to say out loud. And that's why I think he talks like that. And he's not very good at it. He's not very good at finding the right set of words. But I heard it was a rocky launch, but my buddy in Iqaluit? Where the hell is that? Huh, Canadian city. Okay, wow, way the fuck up there. Up near Greenland. So definitely a place I would expect internet to be shit. Like, just generally garbage crap. How the fuck is there a place here? How are there places in this fucking part of Canada? I want to go to the Sylvia Grinnell Territorial Park. Look at this place. This looks cool. I want to go here. That looks fucking sick. Bird, let's go to fucking, what the fuck was this city called? Ikambukam? Let's go to fucking Ikambukam, Canada. You could say that about a lot of Canada. There's nothing here. I hear you got mooses. You got plenty of moose. Maybe a couple of polar bears. what should we do now, y'all? What should we do while we wait for Bird to get home? We got what is this? Ada Rook is playing at 6:30 p.m. on Friday at the Garrison as part of in Toronto. Well, hey, if you live in Toronto, Ada Rook's doing a show, and she fucking rules. So I would recommend that. I would definitely, if I was in a town where Ada Rook was performing, I would definitely be going to that show, without question. What the fuck? This is a new Eminem bar. My transgender cat Siamese identifies as black but acts Chinese. Oh Lord. Okay, I'm definitely listening to that after this stream. I didn't want the copyright trouble of playing it because it came out like right when I started the stream last night. But whew. Sounds like it's for sure an Eminem song. Sounds like it is unquestionably an Eminem song. Oh man. I'm trying to imagine how he sounds saying it, and I'm sure it sounds different how I expect. Like it's gonna be way weirder than I'm anticipating, I'm sure. Fishing is just gacha for boomers? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's maybe more technique to it, but this is funny. It seems like it would make somebody upset. The one fisherman in the Kenny Lauderdale audience. Whoa, look at this guy. Shimogoro, the mascot for the town of Shimogoro, is based on the local delicacy shingoro, which is a ball of glutinous rice on a stick coated in sweet miso and grilled. He was in Tokyo today. Good dude. You guys want to look at some mascots? This is the best Twitter account. Mondo Mascots is just entirely about... Is that fucking Oshawott? Taiwan 7-Eleven mascot Open Chan flies away. You're not convincing me that's not Oshawott. I'm surprised I hadn't seen this one because it's their pinned and it's from 2 years ago, but I had to retweet that on site. Look at this guy! Pai Guru, a crested eagle, is the mascot of New Ishigaki Airport. Awesome. Kotsume-chan the otter is a mascot for Sunshine City Aquarium in Tokyo. It's so adorable. I want to go to that aquarium. I want to see the otter. What else we got here? Okinawan mascots doing a tug of war. There's the otter. There's some more guys. Okay, all this is Okinawa then. So we got to go to Okinawa to see the mascot tug of war. My otter got beat though. Ugi-chan is an unofficial mascot for the town of Usa in Tosa City. Her head is a topography of the city with an arrow pointing to Usa. Fun. I like the face and the pose. This is good. Cannon-chan, mascot for the Yokohama Cannon Eagles, voted Japan's most popular rugby mascot. Oh my god, a mascot race. I like this blue one. It's fucking adorable. Itakun, Japan's online tax payment mascot. He sure does say tax on him. This is an evil Muppet right here. This is an evil mascot. These two aren't that cool. Show me something really impressive. Show me an amazing mascot right now. That guy's kind of cool. But my threshold has raised. I need something mind-blowing. This is pretty fucking cute. A dog dressed as a frog, and he's the mascot of Moria City. That's pretty fucking cute. He's a dog dressed like a frog. The reason Landon is telling me to rate Pokemon designs is because I did it back in the day, and he wants it to be redone with Bird, which is understandable. But I don't know if Bird wants to spend 9 hours rating Pokemon designs. I mean, if If we can find a way to guarantee that that's going to be a high monetization stream, it might be possible. But I suspect nobody would super chat anything because they wouldn't want to interrupt. So I think that would actually be a terrible idea. Just do Gen 9. We could do that. But my opinions have changed on a lot of them. So it wouldn't feel like a complete series or anything, you know. If we just jumped in and did a... Look at this. He's like an egg burger man. Egg bacon burger man. A sentient bacon and egg burger named Beg is the mascot for restaurant chain First Kitchen. Alright. Beg the sentient egg bacon egg burger man. What a fucking idea. What is up with this one's lumpy head? It's not bad. Hey, Bobby with $3 sends, hey, how's it going, little mascot guy? It's going great. We're all in. I'm glad we're all aboard. That kind of looks like this thing, doesn't it? Almost a similar creature. Thank you for the congratulations. Your stuff is cool. You also made a contribution suggesting those sweet jams I've passed out to. I know I didn't finish the album because when I woke up it was paused and said continue watching. Bespy, a bird whose face is on the side of its head, is the mascot for Shokusan Best Home. Alright, this guy's great. I don't know why his fucking face is... Not his whole face, though, just his eyes. His beak's on the front. His eyes are on the side of his head. I want to believe that his eyes can just go all the way around. Like, they can just move. I know literally they can't, but I want to believe as a character, his eyes actually can just move around his whole head. This is a pink elephant. Is this one of the 2 married pink elephants in the room from that comment that we talked about that Amy had the other day? Somebody knows what I'm talking about. Amy knows what I'm talking about if she hears this. It's Toro. Japanese PlayStation character Toro. I've definitely seen this guy before. I don't know what his game is, though. Hey, another otter. Skateboarding otter. He fell. I think he fell on purpose. That looked like a purposeful... That looked like a deliberate fall. The little Vulpix! The little Vulpix, too! That's pretty fucking cute. I know I've already retweeted this one, but holy fucking shit, this Lapras is so goddamn adorable. Lapras. That guy's less adorable Lapras, but awesome governor. The governor of Miyagi riding a Lapras. Alright, that's getting retweeted also. Fuck. Is this what Galnerius' drummer does on his off time? What the fuck? Yeah. This fucking goes. This kind of sounds like Otherworld from Final Fantasy X. Oh, it's Arch Enemy. I see. Never really listened to much Arch Enemy. Alright, that's awesome. Geodude with legs. I am disturbed in a good way. These are some weird looking caterpillars. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know about that bear. Is he a turnip? A fig. He's a fig. That's a cool fucking monocle this dude's got. I don't think I've ever seen a monocle pulled off this well in real life. Maybe Jamang. That's the only other person I could think of. Y'all know Jamang? Everybody remember Jamang? Let's see, what's a really good event? I think this is the song I want. Corn Blazer, I'll get to that in just a moment. But we gotta get some Jermaine. Look at this man. I guess he doesn't have a monocle, but he looks like he would have a monocle. He's also got maybe the worst looking mustache strapped onto his face mustache I've ever seen. It's like a Japanese loser wolf. I don't think he's ever done a JoJo intro, but he did the Umineko ending. Yami o kirisaku wa desire. Look at him go. Salut, mademoiselle. His fucking voice is ridiculous. Alright, Corn Blazer with $5. Thank you so much. Big shout out. Thoughts on the use of symbols of old high culture by those who don't understand or care about that culture beyond what it symbolizes now politically? That feels like a loaded question because I'm not sure exactly who you're talking about. But how about Nazis, right? They stole the Buddhist, what's it called? The manji. Pretty fucked up. I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to, so when it comes to branding, recognizability is a huge deal. And it's a lot easier to co-opt a symbol than to make up a new one to sell people on something that they've never seen before. But there are some things that a lot of people have kind of seen but never really thought about, don't really understand, you know? Like, for instance, me using, with Yig Studio, the World Tree as my symbol. You can find merchandise with, like, a conception of the World Tree almost anywhere. You know, like, it's just a major part of, like, mysticism in general. You go to any fucking shop that sells, like, kooky trinkets and you're gonna find a World Tree somewhere. But there's nothing it's, like, very specifically associated with. Like, Yggdrasil is the Norse mythology version of the World Tree. Lots of different mythoses have them. But if I just take it and I'm like, okay, but this actually symbolizes me. Like, you know, I'm taking an ancient symbol. I don't know everything about it. I'm not an expert in Yggdrasil. You know, frankly, I don't care. Like, there are people who are descended from the Nords, but there is nobody alive, you know, practicing the culture as handed down from whoever fucking first thought of Yggdrasil, you know? I'm a big fan of viewing culture as, like, an evolving enigma. Like, cultural preservation, I understand wanting to preserve cultures that are, like, interesting or meaningful, especially to the people doing them. But, like, if you have to force it, then it's no longer really relevant culture. You're basically just being nostalgic, you know? Like, and in most cultures, they basically just evaporate when, like, no new children want to learn the techniques. You know, like, if you got, like, a 60-year-old grandma who makes, you know, her tortillas a very certain way, and maybe, like, anybody who's had them considers those the best tortillas, but, like, if her kids don't want to learn her technique and nobody else thinks it's, you know, nobody who values it enough to be like, I have to study this so that this continues, you know, like, oh, this is so good, someone needs to preserve the legacy of it. Like, if that never happens, that recipe just goes with that person, you know, which is how most things have gone. Most of any ideas, most of anything cool and relevant to the people who use it has just been forgotten by time. But, you know, me speaking personally, I'm somebody who basically, I would consider what I do to be like writing history in real time. Like, I'm basically trying to create a record so that I can say, like, you know, here's what existed, here's what was cool to me, you know, like, all of this will, as long as somebody keeps the servers alive, you know, like, as long as the whole world doesn't get, like, EMP'd, most of my content will survive, you know, like, books can be burned, oral traditions can be silenced by erasing a population, digital files can be magnetized off the face of the earth, you know, so, like, it always is going to take someone deciding this culture is relevant, I must preserve it for it to survive. But I don't think it's like necessarily an imperative. I don't think it's something we have to be worried about, except for like preserving things you care about, you know? Shaq with Canadian $5 says, Trixie, can you shed insight why I feel compelled to be ripped with a gang of ladyboys in tow? My doctor says it's Africa at work. What does Africa at work mean? I don't know what that part means, but I mean, that's just a normal way to feel. That's just raw instinct. I mean, first of all, being ripped will attract the ladyboys. So obviously, that's a part of it. The reason it will attract the ladyboys is that it will give you the confidence to feel like you can do anything, which will also then give you the ability to do most things. And so when other people see you confidently doing things, they're going to go, I want to be around that person. Now, when it comes to ladyboys or trans women, whichever, I don't know if you're specifically talking about like Taiwanese ladyboys, because it's like a thing they like a cultural concept. But you know, who better recognizes a truly great man but someone who has relinquished their manhood, you know, like someone who is dedicated to being their ultimate vision of a woman is going to seek the ultimate vision of a man. And so you have to imagine that the women who are the very best at being a woman are the ones who are like doing it on purpose. And those are the ones who are going to look for a man who's being a man on purpose, you know? So, and I would even say this is not just trans women, you know, good women in general. They're like, I'm going out of my way to be a great woman. I'm looking for a great man to be a great woman to. Ladyboys, they're probably looking for that. And you're going to have the best experience you can get out of a woman with them. So, you know, if you want to experience your own manhood at the highest level and you want to experience someone else's womanhood at the high level, you just got to get ripped and surround yourself with ladyboys. This is the only way. It's the only way to really enjoy life, is to either be yourself an ultimate ladyboy or an ultimate man in search. Okay, I feel like that was a satisfying rant about that topic, yes? I think we all agree. I think we all are in full agreement that everything I just said is facts. Hey, look, it's Reva. That's the guy who did Cindy Yeager and the other Attack on Titan song. Alright, enough Jamang. That was some good Jamangin'. Jamangin' me crazy. June with 199. Thank you very much. What makes / is the ultimate woman? You know, that's in the eye of the beholder, truly. Or maybe the eye of the person who is the woman. I don't know. To me, the ultimate woman is just capable of whatever, capable of whatever comes your way. You just got to be ready to deal with everything. I think, a woman's work is never done, but the final stitch has got to come. Can't think of the next lyric in that song. I don't know. If you go back and listen to all my other rants about gender, notwithstanding the joke answer I was just giving to Shaq, I don't really think that the concept of a man or a woman means very much, except for in social context or like situational context. So literally everyone is going to have their own answer for that. To me, there's only an ultimate person, being the ultimate man or the ultimate woman would look the same to me. But, I guess whatever your own take is, whatever you're trying to be if you yourself identify as a woman and you're trying to be the best you that you can, that is being the ultimate woman. That's the best way that's the way I could describe that. And we got some new comments here. Respect to Trixie for the hustle. Thank you very much. This is on how to recognize a terrible anime. I wasn't focusing on the video because I was scrolling down the list of videos that was suggested to me, but for some reason my eyes just immediately went to the main video I was supposed to be watching when I heard this play at 12:04. The opening scene of this episode is set in broad daylight and features a dichotomy between the goofiness of a bunch of high school girls in uniforms with giant tits flopping around and the very serious threat. Okay, probably the phrase giant tits flopping around is what drew them back in. That's funny. And then on the Zankyo no Terror video that I actually had unlisted for a very long time, if you lose the audience with a 11-episode show, then the problem isn't your show, it's the audience. Sorry, but don't tell me you can't watch 11 episodes because of whatever you didn't understand, but can go for days with filler episodes or recaps of mainstream series. No, that's terrible take. Terrible, terrible take. Shaq with Canadian $5 says, can you listen to Masayoshi Takanaka Beleza Pura live in 2008? Sure, I guess so. I guess we can go do that. Alright, what the fuck is that thing he's holding? This looks like it's gonna be a serious fucking jam. This song. Volume down so you can hear me when I'm talking. Those two guys with the shoulder shakes. This is kind of what seeing Steely Dan live was like. This is like the feel of seeing Steely Dan. He also gives me a strong, I haven't never seen them live, but Pink Lemonade. This reminds me of like a Pink Lemonade vibe. Or Pink Martini, that's what they're called, not Pink Lemonade. And he's gonna walk out with just this unfathomable surfboard guitar. I gotta get this on my beach playlist. Plug my phone in. I gotta pee and I'm just gonna leave this one. If Bird says it fucking slaps, you know it fucking slaps. And yeah, the whole album is a banger. Like I said, this is... I only know this because YouTube has auto-played it for me a few times. It's very good. Not heard of Vitals. No. This makes you wish you were high right now. This makes me glad that I'm high right now. It even got beach imagery in the video. How the hell did this get into a live video? Instrumental metalcore gent with flamenco vibes? That sounds just funny enough to work. Super chats in here. Cornblaze with $5. More so meant LARPs who present as true culture enjoyers, statue PFPs, while having obviously shallow taste and no real insight or deep interest in art. Yeah, those people, that falls under, to me, if you remember my video, the most boring taste in anime, where there's just a type of person who thinks that certain, just like liking certain things will give them an air of class. But and I'll say this, I try to look classy in what I like. I will say that. Like, I on some level, instinctively am drawn towards stuff that makes me feel like whoever made this is, like, smart and cool and, like, trying to reach people but also take them somewhere new. You know, not just trying to make something niche or crass for the sake of itself. Sometimes that can be fun. You know, it can be fun if it's done right. But the best way I've ever heard it described, when Miyazaki of Dark Souls, Hidetaka Miyazaki, said that he asked the designers to always include a sense of nobility in every character. No matter how gross the creature, there must be a sense of nobility. And that's what, like, if you look at my Twitter, you look at all the art I retweet, regardless of what style it is, there is always some sense of nobility to it. And that is very much like a central part of my taste. I think there are people who feel that they themselves will be granted that sense of nobility if they surround themselves with that kind of noble imagery. But I don't think it's necessarily, like, so noble to continue insisting on the same stuff forever, that just because, like, it's reputationally considered good, so therefore you're like, well, I only have good taste. I'm only going to symbolize myself with the most respected figures of all time, you know, like, only the classiest, only the deepest tier, you know, most lasting references are my game. And it's like, yeah, but unless you can really represent that level of class, you are going to look like a fucking chump. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about, is those types of people who it's like, bro, why are you LARPing like you understand fucking Renaissance art, you know? Like, why are you pretending like your knowledge goes any deeper than that statue? Like, you know anything about the culture that produced that statue. You just know the enduring symbol, but you don't know what it means. What is it, Nirvana, who has that song? He's the one who likes all our pretty songs, and he likes to sing along, and he likes to beat his drum, but he don't know what it means. Yeah. That's a song about that guy. June with 199 says, rant on how not to simp for artists, authors, or content. I think a big part of it is just sort of like reading the room, right? Lurking is very important to any kind of, especially online space. I think that it's easy to get, like, to just kind of come in with yourself and your suppositions about, like, how things are, and then kind of just communicate with people, like, with the expectation that they're just going to understand you and your angle. But, like, particularly with authors, artists, content creators, they're trying to do a thing. You know, like, they're not just passively there. They're trying to do something specific. And so if the stuff that you approach them with kind of feels like it doesn't really get the point, or it's distracting, or, like, you know, I can get messages sometimes from people who are like, oh, just got really into your content. I love it, you know, but, and then ask me, like, a very basic question that, like, you know, one more day of watching my content would have answered. And it's like, I appreciate that I can, you know, help people out. In a case like that, that was kind of a straw man example. Nothing that specific has ever happened. But, like, you know, most of the time if somebody says, I'm new, what should I watch? I'm excited to get them, you know, draw them in further. But, you know, there's kind of a courtesy to a creator that, like, before you go trying to contact them or, like, even just claim their name, like, you would figure out what they're about, you know? Figure out at least enough to have, like, a decent sense of that person. B, do I have my phone on me? Oh, shit, it's behind me. Never mind, though. Hello. Sorry I missed the calls. I just plugged my phone in on the desk behind me. Gotta turn the ringer on. Yeah. Oh, weird. Wonder if it's any good. Be a different experience going without him, you know. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. They can't drive out there. It is. How's it going? You on your way here then? Damn, 40 whole minutes. Fuck. When did you get off? I thought you'd been off for a while. Let's see. Okay. Do you have any food for me? I'll take them, but otherwise we should probably go grocery shopping anyways. Get some stuff. Ooh. Oh, that's true. What I'm talking about, like, you know, anything else. No, I'm not even. I'm talking about, like, usually I get myself, like, meals like in, like a, you know, like Jamaican beef patties and stuff. Like shit you can just throw in the microwave and then eat it. Okay, snacks and tea, sure. Well, I guess I could do that. I thought you were going to be home very soon. That's why I hadn't cooked myself everything. Yeah, I know. I know how it be. I just thought you had been on your way home the whole time, so I was just expecting you to be here like any minute now. I didn't know you were still far away. Yeah, everything is fucked immediately. Yeah, wild. Okie dokie, love you. Well, Bird is still 40 minutes away because the bridge traffic is heinous. Bad commute. Very bad commute. One more reason we'd really like to make some money, because when we get our own place, it will definitely be closer to where he works. That commute is fucked. Can I force you to listen to a song for 2.45 euros? I mean, sure. Oh man, I'm really hungry. And Bird said he's not going to be home for another 40 minutes. He doesn't really have any food particularly for me. But he told me that there is marinated chicken that I could cook. So I could go cook chicken for myself. That's really all there is to eat. Do I have enough money to go buy myself some groceries? Bird did not seem to want to have to go grocery shopping, so. Come on, bank. Talk to me. Fucking bank app. Let's see what's happening in my bank right now. I have $85. Yeah, I could probably buy myself some grocery. Shaq with Canadian $5 says, "Can you listen to New Genia, Marekia, or A Glade Somewhere by Forrest?" Sure. And then I'm going to end the stream after that so that I can go get myself or make myself some food. Or both. I don't know. Is this the right thing? Did I click on the right thing? No, this seems right. Yeah, okay. Play me the song. YouTube may no longer be a viable career. Oh, it certainly has become one again. Because I made $2,000 this month, but I don't get to see any of that money for 22 days. I made more doing live streaming this month than I've made in years. So, to me, it's, if anything, just become a viable career again. I appreciate how, like, weirdly droning this is. Is this what chamber pop is? This is not the right band. Hold on. Forest Marikia. Is this it? Is this... No, we want... The band is Forest, right? Is this something I can't even find? Well, whatever. We heard the other one. It was interesting. Wouldn't say I love it. No Patreon anymore? No, I still have Patreon. It just didn't make me nearly as much money this month as Superchats. So Superchats is looking like the current big meta. All right, everybody. That's the end for this stream for now. Thank you infinitely much for making my stream goal possible. We made $75 just on this stream, and 387 on the previous stream. So this was a huge fucking day. Huge fucking day. $450 so far today, and it's not even 4 o'clock. So, you know, it's possible I'll stream again. It's possible I will eat and immediately pass out. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for coming out, everybody.